lips glitz. Tank full of Theraflu, cause I be in them shit whips. Brick slip, roll with me, catch a contact. High definition popping, flipping out the armrest. See, I'm a rider, dipping in the catalog. Just got it fitted on some shit I need a ladder for. Come up in your hood stunting when I leave, dude.
2 miles per hour, so everybody sees you.
I can't deny, I feel I'm such a fly guy. Top chop, call him Sleepy Hollow when they ride by. I know the haters can't stand it. I ain't got a blemish on my Jolly Rancher candy. Ride on, ride. Top let down. Weaving through the crowd with the bass up loud. Just slide. On the slab when I creep. Take a bath or you put your ass on them seats. Ride. Got the top let down. Leaning to the right with the bass up loud. I slide. Choking on that leader.
2 miles per hour, so everybody sees you.
Anthony Johnson in the building. What's happening with it? Yeah, we definitely gonna cook today. It's been a long minute. We gonna definitely cook though.
Yeah, I hope you got big lungs if you're rolling with me. I roll quickly, roll minute, plus I'm rolling sticky. Hit the road with me, only push it to the 50, cruising through your city, super sharp, fresh fitted. Hey, too cold with it. Check out the interior, it's hater meeting. Chalkboard material, get it? Then fuck it. Hey, roll another blunt up, hit patchwork.
Swinging with top big.
Hey, clear the way, clear the lane. I'm top lit, different from them laws. Want no dogs in my cockpit. Plus I'm throwed off, ain't got my load off. Got about 4 elbows and a quota that no sauce. Enough to get me shook up, but now I got the cook up. And since they didn't book us, every time you look up, I'm riding. Got the top let down.
DeMonte Walker, what's happening with it? Salute. Yeah, we definitely gonna cook, man. I ain't been on here in a minute. Got a lot to cook on. And man, it's a lot been going on in boxing. So we definitely got to cook on it. So come in the building. Make sure you smash the like button when you get in the building. Give me a second, y'all.
What you need to do right now, 2 miles per hour. If you do have any kind of convertibility in your life, 2 miles per hour. Pull over on the side, 285, 75, I-30, wherever you at. Hit that button, hit that top, feel the breeze, you know what I'm saying? Right now we got some goose in here. Shock drinking some wild. I guess maybe because they rhyme with his name. I'm on goose, you know, I keep it old school. I like that blue top, you know? So right now, turn this up, put it on repeat, let that top back, let's do it again, baby. Press the cone. 2 miles per hour, so everybody sees you.
Trey Sean, what's happening with it? Salute. So, man, we gonna get it started. Like I said, smash the like button, share this, you know, because like I said, we about to cook today for sure. But the first thing that I want to cook on, y'all, first I want to get into, man, this weekend, man, we had some solid fights go down. And I want to shout out to my man Tevin Farmer and Brian Norman. So we're gonna talk about the fights, and then we're gonna get into the nitty-gritty. You know, I got some things to say about what Terence Crawford had to say about Errol Spence, and a lot more, man. It's a lot more going on. Oh, let me turn this music down real quick. Yeah, so like I said, when you come in the building, make sure you smash the like button, jump in the comments, let me know you're in the building, and let's cook. So, you know, the first thing I want to cook on is Shoo. You know, Shoo Carrington, man. Shoo, he calling out everybody at 126. He say that he the best at 126, and he want all the smoke with everybody. And let's cook on that. Let's cook on that for a minute. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna actually drop the link. So if anybody want to come up here and cook, y'all welcome to come up here and cook. I'm gonna put the link in the chat. And we're gonna build. Give me a second. Let me put this link in the chat. So yeah, that's the link in the chat. If anybody want to come and cook, but let's talk about Shushu first. Like I said, I'm gonna get into everything that's been going on, but right now I want to talk about Shushu because, like I said, he calling out everybody at 126. He calling out all the champions. We got he calling out Espinoza. He calling out shit. And let me pull up 126. Hold on. He calling out my boy Scooter. He called like everybody at 126. Nick Ball. Let me see. 126 weight division. So you got Nick Ball is the WBA champion. You got Stephen Fulton, he the WBC. You got Rafael Espinoza, he the WBO. And who is the WBA at 126? I can't think of the WBA right now. But Shushu Carrington, man, he making a lot of noise with his mouth. And Shushu, he's solid. But let's just keep it real. Let's keep it real. I'm gonna give y'all my opinion on can Shushu beat any of these champions at 126. He just had a knockout of he looked okay before the knockout. He said it was all in the plans for him to get his opponent comfortable and then let him walk into some shit, and that's exactly what he did. But Shushu just, like, I'm gonna keep it a buck. He's 28 years old. He stayed in the amateurs for a long time because I guess he felt like he wasn't ready. And so they kind of fast tracking Shushu, Let me pull up his resume. Let me pull up his record real quick. I'll see how many fights he got. Bruce Carrington, hold on. Man, here go box. Okay, here we go. So he 15-0 with 9 KOs, right? And like I said, he fought Enrique Vivas. I guess he was the first one to knock out Vivas. But Shushu, he's solid, but to me, I don't see him beating none of the champions at 126. Like, everybody talking about Nick Ball, like Nick Ball is some food, but Nick Ball can fight. And I've seen Shushu struggle with a few opponents already. And I think that him getting in there with Nick Ball, that pressure that Nick Ball bring, I don't see Shushu beating Nick Ball. It's a lot of holes in Shushu's game, man. And I think that it's a reason why he stayed in the amateurs, as long as he did, because he's the same class as Shakur Stevenson and Devin Haney and all of them. He older than some of them. You feel me? So it's a reason why he stayed in the amateur ranks that long, and I see it in the professional ranks. I like Shushu, but to me, he just not like he not as good as they tried to make him out to be. He's not as good as what he talk on the mic. I see a lot of holes in his game. I really do. I don't think that he's on the level of a Rafael Espinoza. I don't see him beating the Nick Ball. I don't see him beating Scooter. You know, I just don't. You know, that's my opinion. I don't have a problem with nobody else's opinion on it, but that's just my opinion. I don't really see him beating none of those opponents. I would like to see the fights. Oh yeah, Angelo Leo. So the champions at 126, right, is Nick Ball. I don't see him beat Nick Ball. Stephen Fulton is the WBC champion. I don't see him beating Stephen Fulton. Angelo Leo is the IBF champion. Now, Angelo Leo, he's solid. He's a solid fighter for sure. He might be able to beat Angelo Leo. I don't know. That's a 50-50 fight, a toss-up to me. And then you got Rafael Espinoza, the WBO champion. I don't see him beating Rafael Espinoza. Telling y'all, but some of y'all might not agree with me, but let's make the fights happen. Let's make the fights happen and let's see. Because like I said, I like Shushu, but I think that his confidence and the way that he talk is much bigger than the way that he fight. You know what I'm saying? He got skills for sure. He got skills, but I see a lot of holes in his game. Like, you know, yeah, he looked, let's just keep it a buck. This past weekend when he fought on Saturday, he was struggling. Now, he tells y'all that's all in the plans and, you know, he was waiting for dude to walk into some shit. And I get it, but, man, I've seen Shushu plenty enough times, and I've seen him, you know, have problems with guys that we looking at and we thinking like, oh yeah, Shushu gonna walk through this guy, and then he ends up having a tough fight. I just don't like. I don't know. Like he's not. To me, he ain't hyped up. He's not what they have him hyped up to be. Like I said, I could be wrong, but to me, he's just not what they have him hyped up to be. Big Dog Willie, what's happening with it?
What's up, pimpin'?
What's good with you, dog?
Shit, can't call it. I wanted to I'll let you finish your point. I wanted to jump in about Zepeda getting put number one or takes mandatory and see if there's some kind of weird trick going on with that.
Oh yeah, we definitely gonna cook on all of that. I'm definitely gonna get into all of that. Rude Exposure said he bowed to the monster. Bruh, let's just keep it a buck, you know. And I heard a lot of cats talking about Shushu and Inoue, and I've heard Shushu, you know, in the past calling out Inoue, right? But Inoue's not at 126 right now, right? He's not at 126, but he better stay far the fuck away from the monster Inoue. Cause he'll meet his maker if he get in the ring with Inoue. Trust me. Shushu ain't nowhere near that level. He just not. But like I said, man, I like Shushu, but he just my bad. I like Shushu, but he just not he's just not on that level yet to me. And he's 28 years old, and I don't never see him being that top guy where everybody is like, yeah, he's the man in whatever division he's in. I see too many holes in this game, man. Big Dog, man. What's your feelings on Shushu? You know, he want all the smoke at 126. He calling out all the champions. Those champions that I named off, do you see Shushu beating any of those champions? Like I said, the only one I see him having the chance of beating is maybe Angelo Leo, depending on what Angelo Leo comes to the fight. But I think Nick Ball is just too much pressure for him. I think that Stephen Fulton, if he on his A game, he gonna outbox Shushu. I think that and Rafael Espinoza, he's just too much all the way around. I don't know. That's just my opinion.
I mean, I give Shushu, I give the Shushu 50-50 with all of those guys. I think Shushu's athletic ability kind of puts only person I think he'll struggle with is Fulton. But yeah. I only that's the only person I see him struggling with. I'll say 50-50 with the rest of them, and Fulton, I think Fulton would give him hell. So that's my opinion on it.
Yeah. Okay. Did you watch the fight this past weekend?
No, I have not watched the fight this past weekend, but
Okay.
I will since you brought it up. Did he look? How did he look though?
Well, so he got the knockout, right?
Yeah.
Got the knockout, but before he got the knockout, he was having some of the same issues that I've seen him in other fights. Like I said, when he fought that African Solomon Sagwe or whatever that did, the African that he fought 2 fights ago, he struggled in that fight against that African. And in the beginning of the fight with Enrique Vivas, I seen him have some of the same flaws and have the same struggles that he had throughout that whole fight with the African, right? I've just seen Shushu, have problems in fights. He wins these fights, but he's still struggling. He don't look like a top A level fighter that I'm looking at. That's like, I'm like, okay, yeah, he's a problem. Like when he first came on the scene, right? A top rank, they know how to match make you very well. When he first came on the scene, he was looking like a beast. He was looking like, Abdullah Mason type, you know what I'm saying? He was running through these guys. And then once they start stepping up his level of competition, then it's like, okay, he ain't getting these knockouts and he's struggling with some of these opponents. Like, he's still winning, but he's struggling. When they still haven't, I don't even think they stepped up Abdullah Mason's competition, right?
Right.
I think that Abdullah Mason's competition and Shushu's competition are pretty much on the same level, right? But Abdullah Mason, he blowing through these guys. So I could look at him and I'm like, okay, yeah. He's really like that.
Blowing through him, or he because he has problem with some fighters, Abdullah Mason, but
Abdullah Mason ain't had problems with none of these fighters except for the fighter that knocked him down.
He got knocked down twice.
Yeah, but he still blew through that. He still blew through dude. Like after that, he still came back and blew through that dude, right? Abdullah Mason has blown through everybody he been in the ring with.
No. I'm not saying. I'm just saying as his last performance. I thought that his defense have holes in it, and maybe because he was being very aggressive with that guy. Go ahead. We'll talk about him later. But
well, Abdullah Mason just fought the same fighter that Rolly fought in his last fight. I can't think of the Mexican dude's name, right? But Abdullah Mason blew through him. Rolly
we can't use Rolly. We can't use Rolly as a.
Yeah, we can, because Rolly was considered a top 135 pounder at one point in time. He was a champion at 140. So Rolly blew through the same. Abdullah Mason blew through the same opponent that Rolly just went 12 with and had, back and forth type fight with, right? Abdullah Mason blew through that same opponent. What I'm saying is that when I watch Abdullah Mason, he stands out.
He does. He does.
To where I'm like, okay, if he start calling out champions, that's something to look at. Like he's a problem for anybody. I just don't see that with Shushu right now, man. And Shushu's 28 years old.
Yeah,
Shushu's
there's a
28 years
difference.
old. Shushu is 28 years old. Abdullah Mason like 20,
He's
19.
20 years old. Yeah, but I mean, what I'm trying to say is Abdullah Mason is the better talent. Don't get me wrong, but I'm just saying him throwing. I think that right now he had a lot of what's the word, meat mushers that you use on his nuts right now, and so I think he gets highly. I don't know how can I say it so it won't sound so like I'm not hating. I think he gets more credit than with certain people than with others. I should say that. I don't want to bring
Abdullah
up.
Mason?
Yeah.
I think the credit, like, I'm gonna keep it a buck. I think the credit that he get is I think, you know, it's warranted because like he man, he putting on, like, bruh. And then when you got guys like Shakur Stevenson and all these guys that sparred with him and been in training camps with him, and they tell you like, yeah, he's the truth. He's him.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So these fighters, they know. I tend to like to listen to other A-level fighters when they tell me like, okay, yeah, this kid is him. You know what I'm saying? He really like that. Like Shushu, I like when Shushu get on the mic. He talk that shit, but I just don't see it when he get in the ring, right? And at this level, he should just be like, he should be destroying these guys. You know what I'm saying? At this level that Abdullah Mason, I mean that Shushu is at, if he was really like that at 28 years old, come on, bro.
That's okay. Yeah. Since you said his age, yeah.
We're not talking about a 20-year-old, a 22-year-old. We're talking about a guy that's 28 years old, and they gradually stepping up his competition. And I don't even think Enrique Vivas should be a step up, but he went in there, he got the job done, right? But I'm looking at before you got the job done, how did you look? And it was a nip and tuck fight. Like it shouldn't be a nip and tuck fight with that level of competition when you 28 years old and you saying that you are the best above all these guys that won 26, and then none of these guys can F with you. Yeah, you supposed to say that, but if you're saying that, now I'm looking at you. You see what I'm saying? Now I'm really looking at you. And I want to know if you really, and he don't look like he really like that to me. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying that he's not a good fighter. I'm just saying that he doesn't stick out to me to be like, okay, yeah, he gonna run through 126. I really don't see him beating the Nick Ball. I don't see him beating the Rafael Espinoza. I don't see him beating Stephen Fulton if Stephen Fulton is on his A game. Like I said, maybe him and Angelo, I see him having a nip and tuck 50-50 type fight with Angelo Leo. I see him having a good fight.
You don't think he can beat Nick Ball?
I think people be sleeping on Nick Ball, bro. That little motherfucker can fight. That pressure that Nick Ball bring, bro, if you can't adapt to that pressure and you're not ready for that, and I've seen Shushu have problems with pressure fighters. I'm telling you right now, he ain't beating Nick Ball. Nick Ball, bro. Hey, Shushu like to get in there and like, to me, right? Nick Ball needs to get you in his range. And then he needs to be able to cut off the ring on you. And then he need to get you in his range, and he going to make it a dog fight. When I look at Shushu, it's not hard to cut off the ring with Shushu because Shushu going to try to fight you. Shushu not the fighter that's going to stay on the outside, use his, slickness and use his footwork and use his jab and keep you at range. He's not that type of fighter. That's the type of fighter that you need to be to fight Nick Ball. We seen my man like Shushu ain't on the level of what's my man Shakur brother. What's his name?
Keyshawn.
No. That moved from 126 to 130. That Nick
Shakur's
Ball.
brother.
That Nick Ball, Shakur homeboy, that Nick Ball fought. Man,
what's his
my
name?
man?
I know who you're talking about.
Why can't I think of his name? Man, somebody help me out in the comments, and I see y'all in the comments. My man, Throw Straight Facts Boxing. What's happening with it? My man, Daryl Big G, what it do? My man, Jay Bean, what's happening with it? Marcus Warren, what's happening with it? TM, yeah. Ray Ford, my Bruce Gas in the building. Light Skin Business in the building. What's happening with it? Everybody smash that like button. Dundada, what it do? Rude Exposure, what's happening with it? Everybody smash the like button. Smash the like button. It's free. It don't cost you nothing. Yeah. So my man Raymond Ford.
Raymond Ford. Okay. Yeah.
You ain't on Raymond Ford level. And Raymond Ford struggled with Nick Ball, right? Now we know that Raymond Ford was having issues making weight, so I don't think that he was able to sustain, what he had to keep Nick Ball off his ass. You know what I'm saying? But it ain't easy to keep Nick Ball off your ass, and you got to have good footwork. You got to be able to control the distance from the outside, and Shushu don't fight like that. So Shushu getting in a dog fight with a Nick Ball, nah, bro, it ain't gonna go. It ain't gonna go his way. And I'm just watch. You gonna see? Y'all gonna see? Y'all gonna be like, man, yeah, you was right. He ain't what we thought he was. I could see it's too many flaws this early in his game, man. When I start seeing these guys, as soon as they start stepping up their competition, you start seeing them struggle with C- level competition. That's a red flag to me, dog. Because when you step up to the championship level, if you're already struggling with that level of competition, what you gonna do when you step up the competition to the A level? B+.
To be honest with you, I didn't know that Shushu was that old though. I thought he was like 20.
He's 28 years old. So
yeah, I thought he was like 24,
how
20.
much better is he gonna get?
Yeah, I didn't know he was that old.
He talks. He talk that good talk, bro. I like how he talk, and I like Shushu, but he just not. He ain't him like that, man. He say he him, but I don't see it. Just remember I said that. Remember I'm saying what I'm saying, because Top Rank, they know how to match make you, and they still trying to match make Shushu to where he look like a monster. And yeah, bro, you I don't know. What y'all think, man? In the chat, what y'all think? Do y'all think that Shushu possibly is the best at 126 out of all the champions? Oh my God. Throw Straight Facts Boxers say not at all. My man George Smith say possibly. My man Anthony Johnson say, who you think Shushu should fight, ETB? I mean, hey, bro, he 28 years old. He say he want all the smoke. He should fight one of the champions. I mean, at this point in time, it's like, you here. We here now. Ain't no stepping back. We either got to find out if you him or not. You feel me? It's that time. Is you him or not? So you say you want all the smoke. If I'm a promoter, right? If I'm a promoter, I'm looking at Shushu. He's 28 years old, right? We've tried to build him as much as we could, right? Now he's screaming at the top of his lungs that he want all the smoke. Hey, now I need to see what I got in my investment, right? It's time. if I'm a promoter, I need to see, okay, do I continue putting the focus on you? Or do I just, you know what I'm saying, gotta keep you on the roster and move on and try to put the focus on somebody else, you know, at 126? You know, that's just how I see it, man. It's time. TM says, he said, put him last based off experience, and I got Fulton over everybody at 126. So Fulton, Nick Ball, that's a tough fight, but I see Fulton being able to outbox Nick Ball because he got the style to do it. But it's still a 50-50 type of fight. Fulton against Espinoza, that's a tough fight. Espinoza, that long ass dude, is tough for anybody. So I don't really know. I had to look at that a little bit more. Fulton versus Angelo Leo. I believe that Stephen Fulton already beat Angelo Leo. So there we got that. You know what I'm saying? And who else? Who I miss? I missed somebody?
No, you got all three of them. All four of them.
Yeah. Yeah, so you know, yeah, but man, let's move along, right? Let's move along. Y'all smash the like button. Smash the like button off in this thing, man. We just getting started, and we definitely gonna cook today. Where I want to go next, man. Let's go to the women real quick. Let's not leave out the women, right? Man, Michaela Mayer and Sandy Ryan, hell of a fight. And I'm gonna just go through this real quick because I don't want to forget the women. Hell of a fight. But I went back and I rewatched the first fight. Big dog. I went back, rewatched the first fight, right? And I seen things that I saw that Michaela Mayer could improve on more. And I picked Michaela Mayer to win the rematch. At first, I was kind of like, I ain't really know until I went back and rewatched the fight. But the reason I picked Michaela is because I said, okay, I saw that she hurt Sandy Ryan a couple times in that first fight. Not like hurt, but she caught her with some big shots. And I thought, okay, if Michaela Mayer, that was her first fight at that weight division, right? If she gets strong now, that was 2 years ago, right? She didn't got stronger since then. And I just saw a lot of things that she could have improved. And she came in, man, and you could tell she was cracking a lot harder. Because Michaela Mayer before, man, she wasn't looked at as a fighter that could punch. She's cracking now. Sandy Ryan was looked at as the one that was a puncher before. And man, I think that Michaela Mayer, man, she's acclimated to the weight division, right? I think it helped her out a lot, not having to cut as much weight as she was having to cut at the other weight division. And man, she was a lot stronger. Her work rate was crazy, and she didn't slow down until like the end of the fight. But by that time, she had banked a lot of the rounds, and she was just too much, man. She was too much for Sandy Ryan, and salute to Sandy Ryan, hell of a fighter. I still think that she could become a champion, but Michaela Mayer won that fight clearly to me, and a lot more clearer than the first fight. The first fight was close. I still had Michaela Mayer winning the first fight, but this fight, she won convincingly, and I think everybody pretty much saw that. Did you get a chance to check out that fight?
No, that's why I'm quite on it because I didn't watch it at all.
Okay. Yeah, man, it was a solid fight. So salute. Shout out to both of them women, and shout out to Michaela Mayer, man. She talking about, down the line, she want to fight Clarissa Shields. Hey, I take my hat off to her for wanting that fight, but she better stay the fuck away from Clarissa Shields. But hey, it's a big money fight. If Clarissa Shields can make 154, I don't know. I don't see how Clarissa Shields can go back down to 154 pounds after fighting at heavyweight. But if she can do it, all them women better stay away from her. But hey, I think Clarissa, she might have to go back down. She might have to, start watching her diet more, and go back down to 154 or something like that, man. Because
it's hard for women. It's hard for women to go back down because the body just naturally can't do that.
It don't look like it's too much smoke for her up there. Like people talking about Shadeja Green, and when she blow, like Clarissa Shields is gonna blow past Shadeja Green if they ever fight, right? Not even gonna be a competitive fight.
No.
You know what I'm saying? And then when she blow past Shadeja Green, she could fight Franchon Cruz. I like the Franchon Cruz fight.
She could smoke her too.
Well, I don't know, man, because certain styles make fights. Now,
yeah, but I hear what you're saying, but Clarissa Shields is just too skilled.
Yeah, but Clarissa Shields and Franchon Cruz fought in their professional debut, right? I was there ringside when they fought, right? Way back when they both debuted on the same night, right? And they fought each other. That was Clarissa's toughest fight to this day. Although it was probably like, I think they might have only fought like 6 rounds. Or I don't even remember how many rounds they fought, man.
I seen that fight. That was but that was that was Olympics. That was Olympics. Just get out of the Olympics. Clarissa Shield. This Clarissa Shield right now is a monster.
Yeah. So like I like Franchon Cruz, you know what I'm saying? So I don't want to I don't want to dog her out. I think that she makes it competitive, but ain't nobody beating Clarissa Shields, man. I think the closest woman that would have come close to beating Clarissa Shields and giving her some real competition is Savannah Marshall, and they fought before. It was a hell of a fight. Clarissa Shields won that fight clearly, but Savannah Marshall gave Clarissa hell.
Oh no, Savannah Marshall's good.
Savannah Marshall gave Clarissa hell, but Savannah Marshall ain't fought in years. Like, she ain't fought since she beat Franchon Cruz. You know what I'm saying? And that was like, what, 2023? So Savannah Marshall ain't fought in a couple years. And like, that's Clarissa Shields' only competition up in them higher weight divisions. So like, so I say all of that to say that Clarissa might have to try to go down to 154 and make a catch weight fight to make a big fight with with somebody like we were just talking about Michaela
Mayer.
Yeah.
And what's that one chick always talking her shit? What's the tall one that everybody thinks she's really pretty? What's her name? You know what I'm talking about. What's her face?
Who you talking about? You
talking about when I always be talking shit. What's her name?
First of all, she way too small for Clarissa. I think she fight at like 135, 140 at the most.
You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. What's her name? That was with Bill Haney in there, man.
Yeah.
She good, but she's nowhere near. Even if they was pound for pound the same size, she's nowhere near the level of Clarissa Shields. Like I didn't see her struggle plenty of times with fighters in her weight division. I didn't see her barely beat fighters in her weight division to be calling out Clarissa Shields. She needs to sit all the way the fuck down. You know what I'm saying? My man Tran says Hannah Gabriel gave the GWOAT some good smoke. Not really. She was the only fighter to ever drop Clarissa Shields, but that was a flash knockdown, and Clarissa shut her out.
Yeah, that was she just
like it wasn't a competitive fight after that round. Like Clarissa won every round except for that one round where Hannah Gabriel got a flash knockdown. That's not like she's not no competition for Clarissa. And Clarissa, y'all got to think, man, that was one of Clarissa's like first 5 fights or something like that, right? So Clarissa was still hella young, still green. She way better than that now. Way better than that now. Hannah Gabriel was already a veteran, already a champion. So it ain't no, like, it's no, people like to hate on Clarissa Shields because they don't like her as a person. But let's just keep it real. Ain't none of the motherfuckers that's talking that cash shit hating on Clarissa Shields finna put their money on no other woman in women's boxing if they fight Clarissa Shields. Let's just keep it real.
That's a fact. That's a fact.
Ain't none of these motherfuckers, man, woman, or child that's hating on Clarissa Shields gonna put their woman on any other woman in professional boxing getting in the ring with Clarissa. So you can talk all that shit, but you ain't gonna put your money on now one of these other women fighting her. And that's real. So, you know, I don't see no competition, but man, I like Michaela Mayer a lot. But man, let's move on, right? Let's move on. Let's get to my boy Brian Norman, man. Salute to my partner Brian Norman, man. He went out there against Derrick Cuevas. I wasn't familiar with Cuevas or whatever you say his name is. I know you didn't watch the fight, Big Dog Willie. You're slipping. But my man Brian Norman, man, he went out there and let's just talk about what I saw. So I saw Brian going out there. He was using a stiff, hard jab. Right, he was coming with that Terence Crawford jab that Bud was using against Errol Spence, that was knocking Errol Spence backwards. That's the type of jab that Brian was coming with, and and he was catching Derrick Cuevas with some shots, but Derrick Cuevas was countering Brian Norman too. He was catching Brian with some solid shots. You know what I'm saying? Every time Brian would throw that power jab, Derrick Cuevas was coming over the top trying to counter him with that shot. And for a minute, it was kind of, nip and tuck, but Brian was still the aggressor. He was still winning the rounds, but it was looking like for a little bit, it was about to be a competitive fight. You know what I'm saying? Cuevas, you could tell that Cuevas got power behind this shit. And one thing that I was saying when I was watching the fight, because Brian, that's my dog, right? But I got to keep it a buck. The thing that I didn't like that Brian was doing, he wasn't getting his head off the line. When he was throwing them shots, his head was still right on the line for the counter. And so, I wanted to see Brian make that adjustment to get his head off the line so he'd stop getting countered, But Brian kept walking forward with that power jab, kept putting that pressure, throwing hard hooks. He started going to Cuevas' body, throwing hard body shots. And shit, man, Brian caught him with a straight right, followed it up and hurt him, followed it up with that same power jab and knocked Cuevas, back to where he came from. You know what I'm saying? Knocked his ass. He ain't even know where he was. He got up, and when Cuevas got up, man, the referee was asking him, like, what's up? Like, look at me. Talk to me. You want to continue? Talk to me. Cuevas turned his back like, I don't know what the fuck you talking about. I don't even know why I got up off the ground because I'm done. The referee was like, come on, talk to me. Talk to me. Where you? Cuevas wasn't trying to. He was like, nah, I'm done. He turned his whole back to the referee and was like, man, at that moment, man, I'm like, Cuevas, he got up off of instinct, right? But then when he got up, he realized, like, what the fuck did I get up for? I didn't even want to get up. Like, I don't want to feel this shit no more. This young nigga got some power that I'm not comfortable with. And, he let the referee just wave it off. He was done. He sat down, and then he sat on the stool, and he started blinking like he was having some type of neurological issues. Like, he was just blinking and like he didn't know where he was. Yeah, so Brian Norman went out there, man. He showed out, coming off a long layoff. I think he damn near had a year layoff, coming off a hand surgery, and he did his thing, and now everybody calling for Boots, people calling for Mario Barrios. The guy Jen Psaki pulled up on him at the fight and say he won't smoke. I'm not familiar with the Japanese fighter Jen Psaki. I'm gonna have to go do my homework and research on him, but everybody act like they want that Brian Norman smoke. You know what I'm saying? Everybody acting like they want that Brian Norman smoke. They acting like that they see something that they can take advantage of. But hey, you know the saying, hey, everybody want that smoke until they get hit, until they feel that power. So, man, Brian Norman did his thing. Brian is still hella young, 23, 24 years old. He's still getting better. He's not nowhere near the prime of his career yet. I think he still probably got a four more years before he reaches prime, maybe longer. So he's still getting better. And yeah, man, I like what I see out of Brian Norman. I like the Barrios fight. The unification with Barrios. And the reason I like that fight is because if it unifies with Barrios, right? I think Barrios got the WBC. And then if Boots go ahead and unifies with Stanionis, bam, there you go. We got a mega fight. You know what I'm saying? And the price is steady going up with my man Brian Norman Jr. If he beats Barrios, we got a mega fight. I see my man YD402 says Jen Psaki is no joke. He's a problem. Like I said, I can't speak on him. I ain't seen him. But if you got a unification on the table, right? If Barrios is willing to take the fight, we just heard Bob Arum said that that Top Rank in PBC is now going to be coming together, right? They're going to be merging together to make all of these fights with Top Rank in PBC. If that's the case, hey, that's a no-brainer. Why would I go off and fight a so-called dangerous Jen Psaki, right? That does nothing for me. When I ain't gonna say, I'm not gonna say I don't know too much on that situation. So let me take that back. I ain't gonna say that Jen Psaki don't do nothing for Brian Norman, because they could be paying Brian Norman a whole lot of money maybe to go to Japan, right? But I still think if you got to choose between that and a unification with Mario Barrios, take that Mario Barrios fight. And if you can unify with Mario Barrios, Boots and Brian Norman for undisputed, the price just went up, way up. So we looking at, what, $4-5 million payday for my boy. So boxing is a business. We all know that before anything. So if he take that route, that's the route that I would like to see him take if possible. Yeah, man. So I think Brian should, heavily start calling out Mario Barrios next. What you think about that, big dog? You got anything input before we move on?
Yeah, yeah, it's his dad talking about it. I mean, he's up there. I mean, there's nothing else. There's nobody else to go. Be honest with you, Barrios is the next. It's the next thing. I can't see him. Yeah, and the thing about it, Boots is not that much older than Norman either. So, yeah, make it happen, because that's what it's all about, right?
Yeah, for sure. And my man, Fighting Words with Bang in the building. And my dog in the building. What's happening with it? And everybody smash the like button. The link is in the chat if anybody want to come up here and cook. The link is in the description. So if anybody want to come up here and cook, we got a lot we cooking on. So yeah, man, Brian Norman, man, I'm gonna see, I'm gonna reach out and holler at my dog Brian Norman. I might be getting him on here, soon. I just gotta figure out on my end. But let's move along, man. Let's move along. Let's get into the next topic. We gotta get into my dog Tevin Farmer. Tevin Farmer, rematch with William Zepeda. Now, coming into this fight, I said that Tevin Farmer was going to have to get a knockout to win. And the reason I felt that Tevin was going to have to get a knockout to win is because you fighting this guy on Golden Boy Promotions, right? After y'all just had a close nip and tuck fight, they already gave Zepeda the first fight, and I thought Farmer won the first fight. They gave Zepeda the first fight. Now y'all turning around rematching, right? A guy in William Zepeda that they trying to build up to be the next big Mexican thing in that 135 weight division, and they make this man go to Cancun to fight William Zepeda. Not only that, right? Not only that, Tevin Farmer already had came out and said William Zepeda wasn't getting drug tested. Him and his team was making every excuse they could the last fight not to take the drug test. They couldn't even get that man to piss in the cup after the fight. Right? So with all of them, So with all of that being said, you got to go to Cancun, Mexico to rematch this fighter that they already, you know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna call the first fight no robbery, but you didn't get the close decision, right? So I'm looking at that joint and I'm like, man, Tev got to knock this cat out. And we already seen Tev hurt him bad in the first fight a couple times. You know what I'm saying? Tev dropped him in the first fight. Didn't Tevin Farmer drop Williams Zepeda in the first? Yeah, he dropped him in the first fight, right? He
dropped him. He did drop him.
So I'm knowing if Tevin comes stronger, that, you know, he can stop Williams Zepeda. So I'm like, man, he got to stop him to get the W. But man, right out the gate, man, and I just rewatched this fight.
Yeah, so did I. I had to watch it. Yeah. Huh?
No, I'm talking. Baby, when did I rewatch the Tevin Farmer fight? Was it last night of the fight? No, it was the night before, right? Yeah, so I just rewatched it the night before, right? Because I remember being on my man Mill City Boxing Show, and he asked me who I thought won the fight. And I couldn't really answer the fight because I was looking at it from a different lens. Like, I was looking at the fight, and I'm just hoping that Tevin could get through without getting stopped because he suffered an injury in the fight, right? So I'm just looking for him to make it to the 12 rounds. So I wasn't really scoring the fight because I'm looking at it at a different lens. So I say I got to go watch the fight to make my assessment on who I thought won the second fight, right? And I went and rewatched the fight, and I scored every round. And Tevin got hurt, right? He got hurt in the first round. In the first round, I don't know if he got
the second round. I think the second round.
It was the first round. The end part of the first round, you might have missed it, but he made a face like went and he shook his hand out, and then, like, you know, he got back to it, right? So he hurt himself in the first round. The second round, he did it again, and it was more obvious, right?
Okay, maybe that was it. Yeah.
Yeah. So he had an injury. Everybody knew he was injured. Zepeda knew he was injured. That's why Zepeda was even more aggressive than he ever is. Like, once Zepeda seen that Tevin Farmer was injured, he did what he was supposed to do. Like, he was on Tevin Farmer's ass.
Yeah,
he was on his ass like nonstop, and Tevin was having to fight Zepeda off, right? Now, after the first 3 rounds, man, after the first 6 rounds, I had it a draw. It was 3 rounds apiece.
Yeah, the draw.
After the first 6, it was
okay. I can't do that. But go ahead.
I'm telling you, got to go back and watch it. It was 3 rounds apiece because Tevin was still landing. He was still landing shots. Like, the first round, I had Tevin, and then Tevin won. I think it was let me pull it up, man. I got it in my phone, right? But it was 3 rounds apiece. You know, that pressure, people look at that pressure, but Tevin was blocking and rolling a lot of that shit and countering Zepeda. So I had it 3 rounds apiece. But after that 6th round, Zepeda started taking over. He started like I had
I see completely different, but go ahead.
I'm telling you. We got it. We can watch.
I'll watch the fight again. I watched it last night.
Yeah. I had
but go ahead.
I had Tevin Farmer won that 6th round, right? He won the 1st round, and then he won a round in the middle. I mean, I think it was like the 3rd round or the 4th round, because one of them rounds Tevin was getting the shit beat out of him, and then he came back and he actually won that round, and that was within the first 6 rounds. So he won the 1st round. He won one of them rounds after he was getting the shit beat out of him, and then I had him winning the 6th round, right? Now, after that, I had Zepeda winning the 7th round. Zepeda won the 8th round. Zepeda won the 9th round, right? And then I had Tevin Farmer win the 10th round. Zepeda won the 11th. And then Farmer won the 12th round and almost stopped Zepeda. So at the end of the day, man, I had Zepeda still winning that fight 7 rounds to 5. Tevin did everything he could to come back. Like I said, he almost got the knockout in the last round, but it was just that injury, man, was too much. That injury that he had, having to fight with one hand, you know what I'm saying? When he did use his when he did use his injured hand, he wasn't able to throw it with full capacity. It was kind of some more like he was throwing it, forcing it just to keep Zepeda off of him. But he was still countering Zepeda, man. And like I said, man, Tevin showed that he's a dog, because at one point in that fight, it looked like that Tevin was going to quit. I thought he was going to quit. You know what I'm saying? I guess he was talking to his wife, and he was telling her that his arm, like that he hurt himself. Like he couldn't throw his, what was it? The left or the right? I think it was right. Yeah. He couldn't throw it right. Yeah. He was telling her he couldn't throw it, and it looked to me like he was like that he was gonna quit. But now we know that he wasn't gonna quit, because the man wouldn't even take a knee. They asked him about taking the knee, and he was like, "Man, hell no." Nah. And I was like, "Man, just take a knee." Like he was getting hit with some shots that it was hurting me to watch.
He even had that hair grease in him. That's why.
Yeah, bro. Some of them body shots that Tevin was taking, bro, it was hurting me to look at him take that type of punishment. But man, he showed that he is a real fucking dog. He's a real dog. Like I said, man, he came in the 12th round, and in that 12th round, Tevin Farmer, man, if he had 2 healthy hands, if he didn't get injured, I think that he would have stopped Zepeda, and he might have stopped Zepeda earlier in that fight, because Zepeda, man, he's defensively flawed, and he puts a lot of pressure on you, but he leaves himself open for big shots.
Zepeda got terrible defense. So.
My man, Timothy Desert Storm Bradley in the building with the super chat. What's happening with it? He say Farmer lost but won because he got a rematch, made more money, and put on a hell of a show once again. He will be back for sure. That's what's happening. And salute to my dog Tim, man. People don't like to give Tim his respect, but for one, Tim won me a lot of money in that first Manny Pacquiao fight. And one of the cats that still owe me money to this day that I bet I ain't seen him since. He ran off with my bread. But Tim won me a lot of money because, he was a big underdog, and Tim was my guy. Like, he was one of my guys back when he was fighting, man. And Tim was a real dog. So, he know what a dog is. He know what a dog is, man. And yeah, man, Tevin is a real dog. And shout out to Tevin. I had him losing 7-5 once again. Hell of a fight, man. And he showed that even if you are injured and fighters get injured, and you just gotta, you gotta find a way, man. You gotta find a way to get through it. And he did that, and he did more than that. When he could have quit, man. The punishment that he was taking in some of those rounds, man, he could have folded, and he just showed everybody that he's a real dog. And man, you got to respect it, man. That's why you can't look at fighters' records, man. And Tevin probably got like 8 losses on his record, man. And that's why I be telling, man, a lot of these young dudes, man, they look at a fighter's record and be like, oh, he's a fucking bum. Nah, you can't look at a fighter's record and just call him a bum just because of the losses they got on their record, man. Sometimes that shit don't mean nothing. You know what I'm saying? And Tevin is walking proof of that, man. And hey, he also, right? He also, I don't know if you've seen this, big dog. He also came out recently on Instagram and he let everybody know that he does suffer from Tourette's syndrome, right? And I always wondered, man, like, what's going on with Tevin? Because if you look at him, he like be looking up. It looked like he's looking up in the air and like he'll like be twitching and like I always wondered like what's going on with Tevin. Like is something going on with him like neurologically or what's going on? And he came out, man, and he finally told everybody. It's something that he's never talked about, but you gotta take your hat off to him for coming out and talking about something that could be embarrassing for a lot of people. You know, I know a lot of people seen it, but yeah, Quee, what's happening with it? My sis Quee in the building, what it do? Yeah, I know a lot of people have been wondering, like, what's going on with Tevin? Why is he doing that? And, you know, I never noticed it early on in Tevin's career. The first fight that I noticed Tevin having that twitch, which I didn't know what was going on, was when he fought Jojo Diaz. I didn't notice it until he fought Jojo Diaz, and I thought something was going on neurologically with him in the Jojo Diaz fight, right? And then he took like a 3-year layoff and he came back, and now we see it a lot more. What I'm gonna do tonight is I'm gonna go back to Tevin's older fights, you know, because I don't remember noticing Tevin doing that. Especially when he first signed on with Eddie Hearn. You know, Tevin was one of the first big American fighters, you know, that signed with Eddie, you know, back, you know, but I don't remember because I watched Tevin Farmer's whole career, even when nobody really knew who he was. I think he was fighting on Showbox and just like way back then, man, when Tevin was, you know, first stepped in the game was coming up. I didn't really see him doing all of that. So I don't know if it just got worse over time or what, but maybe I just didn't notice it. But I think I would have noticed it, and I didn't notice it until he fought Jojo Diaz. But yeah, man, shout out to Tevin Farmer. He let everybody know that he not gonna retire. He's still coming back, and he want all the smoke, man. And Tevin, man, is a problem for a lot of these guys. I want to see Tevin get his rematch versus what's the cat at Top Rank? Raymond Moore Tyler. I think Tevin, you know, man, that Moore Tyler fight was a real close fight that Tevin could have got the decision in that fight. But I think Tevin is a lot better now because when he fought Moore Tyler, he was still coming back off of that 3-year layoff. He still hadn't got all the way in his groove. You feel me? My man Tim Bradley said Abdullah Mason. Yeah, that's a good
fight. That's a good fight.
Man, that's a hell of a fight. That's a fight to let you know if Abdullah Mason is really who I think he is. I think that Abdullah Mason is one of them ones. You know, he checked all the boxes for me. You know, the only question you could have with Abdullah Mason is if he get hit by a real big puncher, can he recover like he did against that guy that he got, you know, cracked with and dropped? Can he recover and do the same thing? That's the only question that you got with Abdullah Mason. But I think if Abdullah Mason can beat a Tevin Farmer, then you know that Abdullah Mason is ready for whoever. But I don't, man. I see what you're saying, Tim. I see what you're saying. Take the training wheels off of Abdullah Mason. I agree with that 1,000%. But it's like, do you really want to keep putting Tevin Farmer in against like just the best competition. Like, man, give my dog a little, like, give him some, give him a fight in between to where, you know, Tevin can shine. Give Tevin somebody to where, you know, I mean, like, damn, because he been fighting some tough competition. You know, that man came off a 3-year layoff. I think he had like 1 or 2 like house show type fights, and then they put him straight in the ring with Raymond Moore Tyler. And then after that, you got back-to-back Zepeda fights. Who really fighting the type of competition back-to-back like Tevin Farmer's fight? That's another conversation to have.
How old is Tevin Farmer though?
That Tevin Farmer's fighting back like that.
But
I like
how old is Tevin Farmer though?
He like 35 probably.
Man, if he wants to fight the best, man, he's at the twilight of his career. If he wants to fight the best back to back, let him fight the best back to back.
I mean, yeah, y'all got an argument, right? But he ain't like my dog Tron 202 say, he ain't a gatekeeper, dog. He's not a gatekeeper. But the thing is if he keep giving these guys close fights on their networks, right? They ain't gonna give him the decision, right? Because see, boxing is a business, and these networks are looking at his age. They looking at, okay, we got this young guy that we can build and make millions and millions and millions of dollars with, right? And potentially become make him a super duper star in the game. Are we gonna want to give Tevin Farmer a close decision? You feel what I'm saying? So it's like when you put him in these lose situations. Now I think if they put him in there with a Kid Austin, right? That's a great fight. I like the Kid Austin fight because Kid Austin, I think that he kind of over there with Golden Boy. Kid Austin is kind of, now they kind of looking at him like, do we want to continue to build this fighter, build this young kid, or do we just want to put him in with the dogs to see if he really like that, to see if we might need to move on from him when his contract run out? I think they kind of in that space with Kid Austin, especially the shit that he pulled with Shakur. My man Mill City in the building. What's happening with it, Mill? Yeah, I told you I was gonna go back and watch the fight, Mill City, and yeah, I had it 7-5. We had it the same score, 7-5, man, for Zepeda. So you know, I understand why Tevin feel like that he might have got robbed, is because maybe he feels that, you know, maybe it's in the moment. You know what I'm saying? I don't know, but I definitely had Zepeda winning 7-5. But yeah, I think Kid Austin, man, Kid Austin is the perfect fight for Kid Austin and for my man Tevin Farmer. I see my man He-Man in the back. You got to turn your camera on real quick in the background so I can just make sure it's a white screen. I can't see nothing. Yeah, if I don't know who you are, you got to turn your camera on in the background, because we didn't have some dudes come up here when I used to do these live streams every day and do some weird shit before. You hear that night when the dude came up and came up and turned the camera on while he was while he was doing his thing. I got kids in the house, so I don't really, I can't, Was you on here that night, big dog?
No, but I was I seen it. Well, you took it down real fast, but yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yep.
That was doing too much. Yes.
Yeah. But yeah, man, but I like that fight. So salute to Tevin Farmer, man. I'm glad that he came out and let everybody know that he is not retiring. And salute to Tevin Farmer's wife, man. Salute to Poker, man, because Poker, she got up on the ring, man, and she gave Tevin a lot of motivation. Like, baby, you not out of this fight. You gonna stay in this fight and you gonna win it. And I think that gave Tevin that extra oomph. Hey, what my boy Frank Mars said he needed Frank said I need that extra oomph. I just wanted that extra oomph. Well, that gave Tevin Farmer that extra oomph to say, you know what? I'm going to dog this shit out and I'm going to win this fight. And I'm going to do everything that I got to do to at least try to win this fight. So, man, salute to his woman, too. But yeah. Somebody said Jadar Herrera, the guy that everybody was saying that Shakur Stevenson supposedly smoked. That Shakur Stevenson was supposedly running from, man. Tevin Farmer will smoke that kid. That kid is still very green. That kid is not ready for that level of competition at all yet. And they need to still build that kid. I like that kid a lot because he could, even though he don't speak English that well, he talk that talk. He got a lot of stage presence. He got that charisma, but he's not there yet as a fighter. And so, that's the problem, man, with boxing nowadays. Boxing it has too much of influence from these social media apps, from these guys that ain't never put on a pair of boxing gloves a day in their life. Like, people start listening to all of these cats that ain't never put on a pair of gloves a day in their life. And, these narratives get pushed in boxing, and then everybody want to run with that. Like, that's a big, huge problem in boxing today. We got to stop listening to these motherfuckers behind avatars that's talking that ain't never put on a pair of gloves in their life, that's young as hell, that don't even know boxing, don't know the history of boxing, don't know shit about boxing. They just watch some YouTube shorts, and now they telling you who ducked who and who gonna do what. And yeah, but I like the kid Jadar Herrera. He just need he needs to chill out a little bit. Cause what's happening, Quee?
What's happening with y'all? What's going on? I don't jump on these panels normally because I don't know about boxing. According to some of the people, I don't know nothing, and I'm gonna keep it like that. But all I'm gonna say is this: we as boxing content creators, we as individuals, we gonna have to stop saving these fighters. Stop saving them. If they talking noise and put their big boy draws on and saying that they're a grown man or whatever they want to call themselves on the day that they're talking noise, because any day they can revert back to being boys. Grown men do what you need to do. Boys do what they can. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And let them, if they talking all that hot, you know what I'm saying? Throw them in the ring and show me what you talking about. Show me something. I'm not from the show me state, but I'm just saying, show me something. Other than that, be quiet and stop running your mouth. Because that's where we are. Unfortunately, boxing is treating a lot of people like bitter baby mamas. I've been saying that I've been saying that for years. That boxing is treating fellas like bitter baby mamas. And I don't know how many of y'all got bitter baby mamas, but when I say it, I'm sure y'all know what that means.
Yeah, definitely.
And unfortunately, in the current state of where boxing is, I don't follow boxing like I used to because I've lost tons of interest in it because I'm not one to follow what happens on Twitter and all that. I don't really care about people running their mouth, talking all that hot. You know what I'm saying? I don't care. But what I want you to do, if you're going to run your mouth, you better back it up. And if you can't back it up, then be quiet. Like you out here in these streets. You know what I'm saying? Like you out here in these streets in real life. If you're going to run your mouth, pretty soon you're going to somebody going to run up on you and try to test you. Then do what you need to do or shut that up. You know what I'm talking about? And it's a lot of people that's out here in these YouTube streets, in this boxing community that want to run their mouth and ain't going to do a hot damn thing. They're not going to do nothing but keep talking. And even the ones you think is the most solid individuals, they ain't about nothing. They not about anything. All they do is just talk. And I grew up with my grandmama and my granddaddy. My granddaddy was a man of few words. I've never heard my granddaddy talk as much as a lot of these fellas run their mouth. And my granddaddy was a man that spoke. When he spoke, you knew what he was saying. You heard what he said, and you're gonna be quiet. It's gonna be time for you to get off the pot. You know what I'm talking about? And that's how I look at boxing. If y'all ain't trying to do what you need to do, then be quiet and stop running your mouth. Other than that, shut up.
What Charlo say? Keep running your mouth. Keep running your mouth.
Baby, born and raised in Texas. You know what I'm talking about?
Already. Hey, so I'm a segue off what Kwee had to say. This is one reason, right? I know a lot of people got a problem with Dana White coming in the game and bringing in the system that he's talking about bringing in, right? But that's one thing that I like about what Dana White and Turkey are going to implement with the TKO promotions. If y'all familiar with that, because they coming in talking about bringing in a real ranking system, right? To where if you number 15, the 15 got to fight the 14, the 10 got to fight the 9, and so on, right? And it's a real ranking system. And I think with a system like that in boxing, it's going to show people who really like that. And that's why a lot of these guys, right, talk big. You know, that's why you got situations like you had with Kid Austin, and that's why a lot of these guys do that, because they know that they know that they can finesse their way to a championship title. They can move around a certain way and finesse. And if you had a real ranking system to where we don't care what these motherfuckers behind a avatar on Twitter or somebody on YouTube talking is saying, you got to go through this ranking system, and we gonna find out if you really like that. That's what I think about a real ranking system.
And you know what? And you know what? I'll go ahead, Queen. But you know what? This is what now when I first got in here, brought up the Kid Austin and how Zepeda jumped him in the rankings. That's what I'm talking about. And that's how Kid Austin got his ass up there, and that's how Kid Austin got his ass dropped from up there. So in that WBA from talking. So
and
go
see,
ahead.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, bro.
Oh no, go ahead.
And y'all both my brothers. And here's the thing, like I said, for me, I'm born and raised in Texas. We do things a little different out here. If you finna run your mouth, you gonna have to back it up with something. You know what I'm talking about? And the thing is, we're in the state of boxing, and like I said, I don't follow it like I used to. I used to be on everything when it come to boxing like that. I ain't got to do all that because boxing has turned me off. When I listen to the people that's talking, and I unsub from a lot of people because people tend to follow these narratives, and I'm not a narrative type of person. I'm either this or you that. You know what I'm talking about? We not finna sit here and have a gray area when it comes to boxing. And I treat that how I do in real life. You either finna be a solid individual or you know what I'm talking about? HAN. You know what I'm talking about? I ain't trying to use the profanities on your channel because I ain't been up here in a long minute.
Hey, what you gotta speak on here.
You know what I'm talking about? Because what happens is boxing shows a lot of HANs and a lot of people out here praising them and giving them props and last time I checked, a lot of the stuff that be going on, I be hearing y'all quoting the stuff that I've been saying since 2020. If we want to keep it solid and keep it a bug, baby, I've been talking a whole lot of shit since 2020 when it comes to this boxing. I quit doing it because a lot of the motherfuckers I found out they not solid like they supposed to be. Just because you say you solid and say you grown, baby, that don't mean that's what you are. You know what I'm talking about? And I outlasted a lot of people. And I don't talk boxing on my channel for a lot of reasons because boxing ain't what it used to be. It ain't what it claimed to be. But a lot of people run their mouth and think they are who they not. And when you listen and let them talk more and more, what they always say, you let a motherfucker talk, they gonna show you who they really are. And they really not who they say they are because a lot of motherfuckers ain't solid like they used to be when it come to talking this boxing shit or talking about life, period. A lot of people are just listening to people talking something and they just echo what other people are saying. It take a real motherfucker to sit here and say, hey, that's not what we about to do around this motherfucker. We not about to do all that. We finna keep it solid and keep it all the way above. I'm talking about what's happening.
I've been saying that forever. All motherfuckers do on YouTube, on all these apps when they talk, but they just most of them just repeat what they hear the next man say. They don't even got their own thought. They just repeat what they hear somebody else say.
For real. And oh, look, he called me auntie. But auntie in the chat, baby, I'm auntie certified around here. You know what I'm talking about? I feel like it. I'm talking about, like, I don't get offended by being called that, because that made me feel like I got some wisdom that I can share with somebody.
Hey, and what I've learned. Hey, these kids start calling me Unc. I said, don't call me no motherfucker.
Bruh, look, call me auntie, baby. I done put my time.
Some Unc. I said, man, I said, look, you know, up there, these kids start calling me Unc.
No, bro, let them call you Unc. That means you to put your time in, and that's a sign of respect. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And I'm here for every bit of it. Show me my motherfucking respect, because I'd have been around, and a lot of motherfuckers on call don't throw that respect out there. Because what I have learned out here in these boxing streets, a lot of men don't give a shit about women talking boxing. Number one. Number two, motherfuckers only gonna respect you as long as you gonna keep respecting yourself. Number three, when it comes to women in sports, period, majority of men only want to hear men talking boxing anyway, or talking sports anyway. So they're not finna hear a woman talking anything, because 9 times out of 10, they don't care about what you got to say. And number two, they don't give a damn about what they woman got to say. And then if you do care about what your woman got to say, they're going to call you a simp anyway. And the whole time they got women at the crib that they married to or whatever that they disrespect anyway. You know what I'm talking about? So the whole thing is, rock with who you rock with. Fuck with who you fuck with. But don't try to shun me because I don't agree with what you say, because I'm not a part of that yes man type of motherfuckers that want to be around people because they want yes men. And that's what a lot of people want. They want yes men around them so that they have people that 1,000% agree with what they're talking about. I don't need everybody around me that's going to agree with what I'm talking about. I need somebody that's going to hold me accountable. And if I'm messing up, say something. But out here in these YouTube streets, what we are not going to get when it comes to talking boxing, you're not about to get a lot of people that's going to hold people accountable for anything. And I'm done, because that's what it is.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Let's move along, because I got to get the show moving. I want to talk about the Terence Crawford and Errol Spence situation, right? Let's cook on that for a minute. You know, let's cook on that. And I want to get deep into this situation because Bud, he feel how he feel, you know. He have a right to feel how he feel, but what he said was that Errol Spence ain't no Hall of Famer. And one of the things that he said is that because Errol Spence stayed at the same division, right, his whole career. He also said that Errol Spence fought Kell Brook coming off a eye injury, and you know, he said some more shit. But he said that EJ ain't no Hall of Famer. And I listened to that, right? And and I thought about what he said, right? And I thought about it some more because I didn't want to, you know, comment and, you know, just offer, you know, emotion.
Yeah, I got you.
So I thought about it and I thought about it some more. And I came to the conclusion, and every time I thought about it, I said, how the fuck can he say some shit like that? When the whole narrative before he fought Errol Spence was that Crawford still ain't fought nobody. We want to see him fight Errol Spence to prove that he's really who he say he is. Now, I think Crawford is a hell of a fighter. I always fighter. I thought that I knew Bud when he had them nappy braids in his head, when then nobody knew who Bud was. You know what I'm saying? So I always been a Terence Crawford fan. I always thought that he was definitely one of them ones, if not the one. But I always had in the back of my mind, I still need to see him fight somebody. Because when you go down his resume, right, he had solid competition on his resume, but he didn't have nobody that you was like, yeah, that guy is him, right? Because I mean, you look at his best wins, right? Before Errol Spence, if you look at Bud Crawford's best wins, people gonna say, little ass Gamboa, right? And Gamboa was solid, but Gamboa didn't really go on to do nothing in his career like that, right? And Gamboa was a much smaller fighter that was moving up, right? So it's kind of like, okay, yeah, you stop Gamboa, but it's solid win, but it ain't no Hall of Fame type shit to where, you know, and then you go to 140, right? Victor Postol, that's a solid win, but ain't nobody looking at Victor Postol as a Hall of Fame caliber fighter, right? And then you won undisputed, to me, by probably the weakest champion and I'm not trying to knock Brad because I think Bud is really like that, right? But I'm just saying the fights that you took, the against Julius and Dongo, ain't nobody that know boxing that's gonna say that Julius and Dongo is one of them ones or ever been one of them ones. But you was able to get belts, right? You was able to get 3 belts off of Julius and Dongo to become undisputed when you already had one, I believe, right? You fought Ricky Burns in the UK, right? That was like you say that was like your best win, one of your best wins, right? Ricky Burns, right? And I think that was at 135. That was your first championship. You went to, you went and fought Ricky Burns. Solid win. But ain't nobody looking at Ricky Burns like, man, that dude was like, damn, he just beat a Ricky Burns. Like, fuck, man. He like nobody. So when you come to 47, right, you knocking everybody out, but your best opponents was fighters that Errol Spence already had beat. Like you stopped Carol, right? Let's talk about the Kell Brook fight, because the Kell Brook fight is a fight that Terence Crawford always wants to reference when he's kind of like, to me, when I'm not gonna say hating, but when he kind of like trying to make a case why Errol Spence shouldn't be something, right? Now he's saying, well, he fought Kell Brook coming in off of eye surgery and this, and that, right? Right, but
this is bullshit.
But when Bud fought Kell Brook, because you can't say what Errol Spence did and then leave out what version of Kell Brook you fought, right? So when Bud fought Kell Brook not only had already went through 2 eye surgeries, he had went through alcohol rehab, right? He had been at 154 for 3 whole years, right? He fought when he fought Terence Crawford, he only had 5 weeks to train to cut all that weight because he was walking around at like 190 some pounds before that, right? He had to cut all that weight down. His head trainer didn't train him because he said that he didn't have enough time to train Kell Brook, right, to where he thought he had a chance to beat Terence Crawford. Head trainer didn't train him, right? And you went in there and you stopped the Kell Brook that at a weight division that he hadn't fought in 3 years, right? But we gonna give you credit for it because we're gonna give you credit for beating Kell Brook because you went in there, you did what you were supposed to do, and you stopped him. But Errol Spence stopped him years before you did, and Kell Brook showed that he was a much better fighter when he fought Errol Spence. Like, he was much more durable. He took a lot more punishment. He was like, he was still young then. And he brought that up. Like, right? I ain't bringing that up. He brought it up. So if he brings that up, I got to tell the full story, right? Then you fought somebody else that Errol Spence already had beat, and that was Sean Porter. Sean Porter and Errol Spence was a close fight, right? Sean Porter, he said in himself, he trained his ass off for Errol Spence, right? His daddy told you that he was in the best shape of his life for the Errol Spence fight, right? Him and Errol Spence fought. They had a close fight. You know, Errol Spence beat Sean Porter. And then a couple years later, Terence Crawford fought Sean Porter in his last fight, right? You give Terence Crawford all the credit in the world. Sean, he stopped Sean Porter via Sean Porter's dad throwing in the towel, right? But you give him the credit, right? But your
I'm still mad about that.
Yeah. Man,
I still feel a type of way. I still feel a type of way about that. And here's the thing.
Yeah, let me
reason. Oh, my bad. Sorry about that. Go ahead.
So the thing is, right, is all I'm saying is your best competition was fighters that Errol Spence also beat, and he beat them before you. And then your best competition ever, the biggest fight of your career, was Errol Spence. So if you say that he's not Hall of Fame worthy when your best competition was fighters that he beat before you, then how can you be Hall of Fame worthy? Because it's confusing to me. So if he ain't Hall of Fame worthy, that means that you ain't never beat a Hall of Fame worthy fighter. That's what that would have to mean if y'all fought some of the same fighters and the same fighters was your best competition. So what are we saying? Like that, it didn't make sense, because if you ask me, hell yeah, Errol Spence is Hall of Fame worthy. I don't care if he did stay at the same weight division his whole career, because it's a lot of fighters that's in the Hall of Fame that stayed in the same weight division their whole career. Marvin Hagler being one of them. Errol Spence unified. He fought all of the top competition that was in the division, including you, even though you dominated the fight and you won. But both of y'all are Hall of Fame fighters. You know what I'm saying? You can't, like, one can't be a Hall of Fame fighter if the other one ain't. You know what I'm saying? In that situation with y'all. So I just don't understand what Terence Crawford was saying, man. It's like both of y'all are Hall of Fame fighters. It ain't like it's more of a, like, now if they had to ask the question, well, who is more of a Hall of Fame fighter? And then you would have been like, okay, well, I think he's a Hall of Fame fighter, but I deserve to get in the Hall of Fame before he does because we fought and I beat him. Then you got an argument. Then it would make sense. But you can't just say, oh, he's not a Hall of Fame worthy fighter, because then niggas is looking at you with a microscope like, okay, well, yeah, you have accolades, but people want to know, like me. I know boxing, right? And so you got these accolades. I want to know who you beat to get these accolades. And I just went down some of the opponents. And none of them opponents that you beat was better than a Kell Brook, right? Or Sean Porter. I'm talking about before you fought those guys, right? Gamboa wasn't pound for pound, wasn't better than the Sean Porter. Victor Postal pound for pound wasn't better than the Sean Porter. Shit. I mean, so like when you say all of that, it's kind of like both of y'all have to be Hall of Fame fighters in order for the other one to be a Hall of Fame fighter. Like, you know what I'm saying? They go hand in hand. But if you have a ballot and you saying, okay, if I'm first ballot, he would have to be second ballot because when me and him fought, I dominated him. Then, okay, cool. I don't have no problem with that. That's cool. But you can't sit there and say that he ain't a Hall of Fame fighter. And before I pass it to Kwee, let's just look at some of the, more recent fighters that's in the Hall of Fame. You got Diego Corrales, Ivan Calderon. You got Michael Moore, Ricky Hatton, Rafael Marquez, Carl Frotch. You got my man Timothy Bradley. You got James Toney, Roy Jones, Miguel Cotto, Andre Ward, Floyd Mayweather, Shane Mosley, Klitschko, Juan Marquel Marquez, Bernard Hopkins, Buddy McGirt, Donald Curry, Winky Wright, Eric Morales, Johnny Tapia. Like Johnny Tapia. You think that Johnny Tapia was ever better than Errol Spence? And salute to Johnny Tapia, but no. Hector Camacho, my guy, that he was, Naseem Hamed, Oscar De La Hoya, Joe Kawasaki. You even got Mickey Ward and Arturo Gatti. Mickey Ward and Arturo Gatti, they in the Hall of Fame. You gonna tell me either one of those fighters are better than Errol Spence? So you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna go right there, right? I'm gonna go right there. You gonna tell me that Mickey Ward and Arturo Gatti belong in the Hall of Fame, but Errol Spence ain't Hall of Fame worthy? Man, miss me with that bullshit. And I'm gonna just end it right there. And I'm gonna let Quick cook him.
And I'm agreeing with you. And here's the thing. For me, I call him CBD. I think I probably was the first ones to call him CBD, meaning not so strong bud, because I'd have been around some bud that been very strong. I'm not even a smoker, and it messed me up off contact. You know what I'm saying? So, again, this is just for me, and I can only speak for me. When CBD is fighting the individuals that Earl then already fought, that says a lot for you anyway. Earl fought these people at their prime, in my opinion. And yeah, I'm going to admit, because I'm probably one of the few people that are going to admit I'm biased as hell. I'm from the area. Straight up, born and raised. You can't tell me nothing about what's going out here at this DFW. And I don't know about it. I'm not gonna speak on it because it ain't got nothing to do with me. But how we are out here is, if motherfucker running their mouth, you gonna have to do something about it. Do what you need to do, say what you need to say, but you gonna shut that shit up. Them accolades don't mean nothing to me, because that can be padded up like a lot of people's resumes is padded up. That don't mean that they fought a lot of people. Fought a lot of good individuals. That just mean they fought a lot of people. And for me, CBD, for him to say the things that he's actually said, and he trying to stand on it. After he done called his fans, and he done called y'all a whole lot of names, and y'all still want to stand behind that dude, y'all acting like a bitter baby mama who the baby daddy told you he don't want you 100,000 times, and y'all still begging him for attention. That's what y'all look like. Hey, baby, hey, look, you know what? Let me change my ways. Come holler at me. Let me show you what I can do. I'm gonna do something different, baby daddy. Come, let me get back with you. I'm gonna show you I'm gonna act different. That means he finna walk all over you and treat you like shit no matter what. And some of y'all are okay with that, because I've seen a lot of the fellas get called all kind of names, and none of y'all do nothing about it. None of y'all say nothing. Y'all just be in the chat laughing and just be cool with it. Ain't no way. Let me tell you something. I'd have been called every name under the sun. And I guarantee you, after a conversation with me, you gonna end up more mad than I am, because I'd have been called all kind of names. But I can guarantee you, I can tell you, your mama, your daddy, your grandmama, your aunties, your uncles, your sisters, they can get called these same names, and you gonna have a problem with it before I will. And that's what it's all about, is integrity. You are what you answer to. You from where you at. Shout out to Pimp C. And for me, CBD ain't it for me. He can't sell. He done talk noise about his people, about all his fans, and y'all still sucking him off, because that's what y'all doing. If you're okay to suck a man off, hey baby, do your thing. Get you some halls or something with it, and do it right. Don't toot your booty up in the air with it, but just do your thing. You know what I'm saying? But what I'm gonna say, and I'm gonna finish off with this, because I'm gonna jump off. You're not gonna pay me or bribe me to support a fighter. I'm here to see the best fight the best. If you want to run your mouth and talk all that hot shit, get your ass in the ring. If not, shut up. Quit running your mouth. Because to me, you are like an opportunist, a user. And don't nobody like a user. You have to look at it assets and liabilities for me. You either going to be an asset to my life and bring some money to me, or you're a liability, which causes me to lose bread. And CBD is an individual that's going to cause you to lose bread because he contradicts himself. How he say he this, he that, he hot shit, but telling y'all he don't need his fans. He needs y'all because without y'all, he ain't nothing. The few of y'all that start, and I'm finna look. I'm about to yield my time.
This is Quick opinion. This ain't my opinion. Hey, Quick cooking that man.
And look, and the thing is, it's always gonna be some fellas that want to run their mouth and talk noise because they always want to be heard, acting like females. And a lot of the females, like 2 Cents and the rest of the females that's within the boxing community, we don't care about being heard. We finna say what we gonna say. You either gonna fuck with it or get the hell on somewhere. If you got a problem, we go to somebody who cares.
Hey, Quick, I mean, I could dig it. I mean, you ain't hold your tongue about how you feel about Bud at all. But you know, man, I think that Bud is a hell of a fighter. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna shit on him as a fighter. I think he a hell of a fighter. I don't agree with that shit that he said. You know, I would like him to elaborate on the shit a lot more, because it didn't really make sense what he said. Like, you know what I'm saying? It didn't make sense to me. But at the end of the day, you know, I think that this is how I feel, man. And this is just my opinion. Like I said, I like Bud. I think he's a hell of a fighter. I respect him as a man and a father. You know what I'm saying? I respect him as a black man and a father for sure. You know what I'm saying? I respect the fact that he could still go anywhere in his city by himself and move around with the people, and the people fuck with him. So I respect that. It's shit that I don't like about him, but that's just is what it is. You know, it ain't personal, you know, but at the same time, I would like for him to elaborate on that shit because it didn't really make sense. You know, I think he's a hell of a fighter, but I think the thing with Bud is I think that he's still holding that little grudge with Errol Spence because, you know, Errol Spence was getting all of the shine. Errol Spence, you know, at that point in time, PBC was kind of like the new thing on the block. You know what I'm saying? All of the, you know, the like PBC was the new thing on the block, and you know, they was doing their thing, and everybody was, you know, they had a lot of the fighters that was, you know, popular. They had a lot, and Errol Spence was one of the ones that was like, he was him. You know what I'm saying? And Bud was kind of on the outside looking in. Bud was on the outside looking in, and I think that he kind of started to envy that shit because people were saying that Errol Spence was that nigga. Like, people were saying Errol Spence was him. And I think that Bud felt like he was getting overlooked when he felt that he was him. But it's the thing is, it was kind of like, at that point in time, it was that size of the street shit. The you know, Top Rank and PBC, they weren't really doing business with each other. And PBC was getting the spotlight on, all the spotlight was on PBC at the welterweight division because that's where all of the best fighters was at. And Bud, he felt like he was getting left out, right? And I think that Bud, he still holds some of that shit in him. Let's just keep it real. He still, yeah, that's how I feel. I think that he still holds some of that shit in him. And when the conversation comes up, that shit triggers him. Even though he beat Errol Spence, right? And he dominated him, I think it still bothers him because people be like, well, you beat Errol Spence, but you ain't beat that nigga with the shag. And y'all know what I'm talking about when I say that nigga with the shag. You beat Errol Spence, but you didn't beat that nigga with the shag. Right?
Let me drop this off in your. Let me drop this off in your lap.
And I think he feels some type of way because he don't feel that he still gets full credit for beating Errol Spence. And I think that's where that, you know, comes up out of him when he speaks on the situation. He's still holding that in.
For real. Let me drop this in your lap, and then I'm gonna drop out because for real, I gotta go to work in the morning. All right, clock in at 7 in the morning. I got to work, knock them 10 hours out until I get to Friday, and I got 4 hours on Friday. But let me say this real quick, and then I'm going to drop off. What a lot of people fail to realize, Bomac said out of his own mouth, on Clarence McClain, IG, he said, and I quote, "We had a mole in Spence's camp before the fight." He said that. I was like, damn, for real? So he said that. So the fact that you had to go behind the scenes and pay somebody to get in there and be a mole, for them to come pay y'all, give y'all some information, says a lot about you. You're not a straight up and solid individual, in my opinion. Bomac said that out of his own mouth. And I was there when Bomac said it. And if you don't believe me, you'll have to go back and check Clarence McClain live. He said it on IG, and Clarence McClain always hashtags the individuals he had on a panel. After, when the live is over, he said it. So the fact remains, Earl not with that shit. Earl don't need to put a mole in your camp for nothing. He don't need all that. But CBD needed that so that they can have some kind of advantage over Earl. It is what it is. Earl lost. Hey, like Earl said, he got his ass whooped. It is what it is. But what you're not going to do is try to talk down and talk shit about Texas, because Texas still holding. And I'm going to yield my time. I'm going to drop up off here. I'm about to do what I need to do to get my shit together for the night. I'm going to holler at you. I appreciate you for putting me on the panel, bro, because you already know what it is. I fuck with you. And I fuck with everybody in the chat, whether you agree with me or not. I really don't care, because we here to talk boxing and talk what we gonna do and say what we gonna do. I'm not a yes person. I don't need everybody to agree with me. Hell, I don't give a damn if you disagree, because I don't really know you in real life, because I could care less about you. But I'm gonna holler at you. I'm gonna fall back in the chat. Do your thing, bro. I got you.
Yeah, Queen. Salute to Queen up here cooking for real. I could dig it. Yeah, and so we got a super chat. Damon Daniel said EJ got his ass beat. Not rematching Bud was smart for EJ, but retired Porter and arguably EJ. Bud retired Porter and arguably EJ. EJ was one of his easier fights. Where is EJ? I mean, you know, you got to give it to EJ for taking that fight, man. Like, you know, hey, he took the fight. They got in there. They both fought. Bud did his thing, and it is what it is, man. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. Sometimes when the best fight the best, that's what you get. You know, hey, and we can make excuses and say this and that and that. It is what it is, man. You know, I like me. I'm gonna give Bud his credit. You know, I have my own opinion. I don't think that was, you know, Errol Spence in his prime after everything that he went through. But I mean, shit. Bud kept it. Bud. One thing I got to say about the situation, right? Especially in the business of boxing, when there's all types of politics happening, and then you got, you know, promoters and fighters trying to, you know, basically, you know, make the fight linger on to get the most money they can get, and all of that, you know, Manny Pacquiao, Floyd Mayweather type shit going on. Sometimes that's the price you gotta pay, right? Sometimes when the fight is at its biggest, and now when the promoters are like, okay, it's at its biggest, we can get the most money out of it, let's put it on. Sometimes both fighters or one of the fighters might not be at their best. So it's a longevity game. And I think that, you know, you got to look at outside of the ring, right? You got to look at outside of the ring, and outside of the ring is where a lot of this shit plays out. And we know that Errol Spence, you know, he wasn't disciplined outside of the ring, and Bud Crawford was disciplined outside of the ring. You know what I'm saying? Errol Spence, he did what he did. He said, he talked about it. And that's why you got to take your hat off to Errol Spence, because a lot of these fighters do a lot of shit outside of the ring, and they don't come in front of the camera and admit it, right? Errol Spence talked about it, and he told everybody, like, I wasn't living a fighter's lifestyle. But on the other end, Terence Crawford he was disciplined. He did what he was supposed to do outside of the ring. So the longevity game, he won that. So when they finally did come together, Terence Crawford was at his best. And can't nobody really say that Errol Spence was at his best. But whose fault is that? You see what I'm saying? You whose fault is that? If you ask Errol Spence, he gonna say it's his fault. So I gotta look at it, from all lenses. Even though, I'm a much bigger fan of Errol Spence than I am of Bud Crawford, right? But I respect the fight game, and at the end of the day, I'm a fan of boxing. At the end of the day, right? So when it comes to the best fighting the best, I don't trip because I'm like, I just want to see the fights. Whoever win is whoever win, and both of them fighters, they went on to get paid. They came out of the ring, they still healthy. Hopefully down the line they're gonna be healthy from that fight, and at the end of the day, man, they both winning. You know what I'm saying? They both went. They family eating. They living well, but they living well, man. So that's just how it is, man. Sometimes it's a longevity game, and who do we blame for not getting the fight when they was both at their best? Who's to blame? Do we blame the fighters? Do we blame the promoters? Who's to blame? And that's why boxing has to change. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've been watching boxing forever. So, in the 80s and the 90s, these guys wasn't, marinating fights for 6 and 7 years and 5 years. There wasn't no such thing as marinating. These fighters was getting in there fighting each other in their early 20s and having runbacks and trilogies and things like that. So you got to see the best fight the best when they was actually at their best. So when motherfuckers say that a change ain't needed in boxing, that's what I be having a problem with. Yeah, it's a lot of shit that need to change in boxing. And I think that boxing is now going into a great direction because a lot of shit is changing in boxing. We don't need to marinate. Like, man, once these fighters, like, especially if you the same age, if you 22 and he 22 and y'all saying he the best, get in there and fight. Your career don't end if one of y'all lose. Run it back down the line. So I think, boxing, like I said, man, it's a longevity game. And at the end of the day, Terence Crawford won that, which made him win the fight, which was a big factor of him winning the fight and dominating like he did. That's it. That's all. It ain't his fault. He did what he was supposed to do. You feel me? He did what he was supposed to do. This shit is a marathon, not a sprint. It probably would have been a different fight. Not saying who would have won, but the fight probably would have looked way different in 2017, 2018. It's a marathon. It ain't a sprint. So I don't like, I can't get pissed off at Terence Crawford for doing what he was supposed to do. But I don't agree with what he said, but it is what it is. The Bay family high-end brand says he beat an unhealthy Errol. Man up and admit that. Be on man code. Tell him to stop running from us Philly boy boots. I don't know if you telling me to man up or you saying Errol Spence need to man up. Or you saying that Bud need to man up. But I know you ain't talking to me because I just told you what it was. But salute anyway. Salute. Damon Daniel say EJ cheated us in Bud fight because of his lifestyle. I mean, that man a grown ass man. If he want to do what, if he ain't cheat us, you know what I'm saying? He might have cheated himself, but he ain't cheat me out of shit. You feel me? Like I ain't have to go in there and take that punishment. Like we gotta realize, man, we looking at this shit from the outside looking in. You know what I'm saying? We behind the glass window looking at this shit. Ain't now one of us had to take the punishment that Errol Spence had to take. So he ain't cheat us out of shit. He cheated himself if he cheated anyway. So that's something he got to deal with. I don't get that, involved. Like I can't live my life through these fighters, man. Shit. That's why I can't tell these fighters what they should be making and who making what and all that extra retarded shit that people be talking about. Oh man, oh man, he don't deserve this and he pricing himself. Man, I'm not in the ring taking that fucking punishment. My man say he kept his word when Bud held up the fight and ended up fighting someone else. Yeah, he kept his word, and I think that one of the biggest mistakes that Errol Spence made was not listening to his advisor, Al Heyman, when Al Heyman told him to fight Keith Thurman. That's the biggest mistake that he made, because he should have fought Keith Thurman. Win, lose, or draw, you take the chance. Anybody you fight, you're going to take the chance of losing, right? You beat Keith Thurman, you go into a fight with Bud a lot more sharper, because why would you go into a fight against Bud Crawford off a 16, 17-month layoff? Like, ain't nobody tell you to get in there and be hard-headed as fuck. That's why you have people advising you. Sometimes they gonna, give you advice that you should take. And I said it back then. I did a video a while ago, and I said that Errol Spence fucked up because he did not listen to the people that was advising him to take a fight in between before he fought Bud Crawford, and he didn't want to listen, and that's his mistake. So people can't get mad at Bud for playing the game. He played it raw. He played the game raw. He acted like he ain't want to fight. He was like, shit, I don't need to fight. I'll go and fight motherfucking what's the dude? David, I've been sneezing. I'll go fight David. I've been sneezing. I'll make my money over here. I ain't working. And that shit, he played Errol Spence because it made Errol Spence more anxious. He's like, damn, if damn, I need. And so Bud reversed it to try to make Errol Spence think that he needed to fight more than he did. And Errol Spence wanted that smoke so bad, he like, fuck that, man. I don't care if I'm on the 16-month layoff. When you have to respect the game. You got to respect the game. Terence Bud Crawford ain't no fucking tune-up fight. So you don't go in off a 16-month layoff and fight no Terence Bud Crawford. You respect the game and you make sure that you go in and you are the best you that you can be. Because Bud said, I'm not fighting Errol Spence off of no damn layoff. I ain't sitting out a year and fighting Errol Spence. I'm taking the fight in between. And I'm going to make sure I go into the fight the best that I can be. And that's what he did. And Errol Spence didn't do that because he was looking at that bag. He like, shit, I want this fight now. I don't want no shit in between. I don't want nothing to mess up this bag that I'm going to get. And you got the bag, but you got the repercussions that come with it sometimes. So he took the chance. So at the end of the day, man, like Errol Spence he's still one of my favorite fighters of all time. But at the end of the day, man, I can't sit up here and just be fanned out to where I can't, tell it like it is. And that's just how I see the shit, man. He Bud played the game on the outside, the business part, the taking the fight in between, and he won. And Errol Spence, he didn't play his cards right all the way around, and that's what it is. But hey, that's what it is. My man Tim Bradley say Errol would have never beaten Crawford. Hey, that's your opinion, Tim. I'm not saying who would have won the fight if they had fought each other at their best, but my opinion is I think that Errol, like, I would have picked Errol Spence to win, in 2017. Like before Errol started all that bullshit, when he was still training with Blu-ray, when he was at his best, I would have picked Errol to win the fight. But I'm not 100% confident in saying that because, like I said, man, Terence Crawford is still a dog. He's still a dog, But Tim, how I think that when Errol Spence was at his best, and we gotta both agree on this, Tim. One thing you could look at is Errol Spence's body. He looked way different. His physique was way different back when, I'm talking about when that nigga, I'm talking about the Errol Spence, when he was with Blu-ray, when Errol Spence was the Kell Brook Errol Spence, right? I think he was much more stronger. He was a much stronger fighter. And one of Errol Spence's biggest attribute was being stronger than his opponents. Being able to push you to the brink, right? That work rate that he had, right? When you seen him fought Bud, man, Bud was pushing Errol Spence around like he was a fucking baby. Like when I seen Errol Spence try to push Bud Crawford back, and Bud just stood there and didn't budge, and Bud was pushing Spence back like he was just a child. At that moment, and that was like the second round, I believe. At that moment, I said, yeah, ain't no way Errol Spence gonna beat this dude. Errol Spence didn't have the strength that he used to have. He wasn't physically as strong. He didn't have like the pop on his shots that he had back then. He just wasn't the to me, right? And like I said, I hate saying this because then there's people that's gonna say, well, you taking away from Bud's win, and like, no, I'm not, because this is just what I think, right? But I didn't see that same physical specimen that he was back then, right? Plus, that nigga wasn't training like Blue when he was not. I hate to keep up bringing Blu-ray, but he was a different type of dog when he was training with Blu-ray. You talking about somebody that was doing 700 push-ups and 500 pull-ups before he even started his workout. That was just the start of the workout. To Errol Spence, to somebody that wasn't even doing no push-ups. Somebody that wouldn't even like it's different. It's different levels. And you know that, Tim, because you were somebody that had fucking the most crazy physique in boxing. Don't know, no telling the type of workouts you was doing. So that shit different, man. Tim, that shit make you being a stronger fighter. It's different, man. It's different, man. He was to me, I think the fight would have been a much different fight. Now you might be right? Bud might have still won. That's an argument that you can have, right? Bud might have still won, but I think that it would have been the fight that everybody was looking for, right? I think that whoever won that fight, it would have been one of them like, nigga, we need to see this shit again because that shit was that close. I don't think Bud would have went in there and just ran through Errol Spence and like that. I don't, you know what I'm saying? I think that both fighters would have, you know what I'm saying, been hurt in that fight. Tim says Spence lunges, reaches, and is predictable like Canelo, fam. And you know what? You can even go back on my channel, right? I did a breakdown before the fight, before him and Crawford fought, right? And I pointed out the flaws that I saw in Errol Spence and Terence Bud Crawford. And one of the flaws that I pointed out And I told people, I said, even in the Ugas fight, right? I said Errol Spence, he was doing a lot of shit in the Ugas fight that he's not gonna be able to get away with Bud. So I got to keep it real, and I got to agree with you when you say that. Tim, I said in the Ugas fight, I seen he was doing a lot of lunging, but he was barely getting away with it with Ugas. I said he's not gonna be able to do that shit with Bud because Bud is gonna catch him every time when he do that, right? But I don't think that version of Errol Spence was the version back then, though, right? Because I think that Errol Spence's reflexes was a lot better. I think his defense was a lot more on point back when he was fighting Kell Brook and Lamont Peterson. I think that he was much better catching shots and parrying the shots. I think that he did still lunge sometime, but his reflexes was a lot better. And when he would lunge, he wouldn't leave himself open because he always had his guard up, right? His reflexes was a lot better. And I think that he lost a lot of that, over the years with whatever he went through, with the accident and then the shit that he was doing outside of the ring that he shouldn't have been doing. And so, man, it is what it is. At the end of the day, it's just like, man, at the end of the day, Bud Crawford did what he was supposed to do. He did what he was supposed to do outside of the ring, and he stayed disciplined. That's the big, because boxing, like they said, it's not all physical. You know what I'm saying? I've seen a whole lot of fighters that had a bunch of fucking talent. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've been watching boxing a lot more than a lot of motherfuckers been born. Longer than some of y'all been born. Like, I started watching boxing. The first boxing match that I was old enough to like really know what was going on and remember was when Evander Holyfield fought the white Muhammad Qawi in the light heavyweight division. That's when I really started like watching boxing. I'm not talking about being involved in boxing. That's when I started watching boxing as a young kid. And like, I've seen a lot of fighters that was just super talented. And I thought like, oh, him. And then you like, damn, what the fuck happened? And it be shit on the outside because they're not disciplined on the outside. And that was Errol Spence's biggest downfall. And he'll tell you that himself. So, I don't think that it just is what it is. So I can't get mad because one fighter stayed disciplined throughout his whole career and lived the fighter's lifestyle. And the other one, he tried to take short. It's certain shit you can't do when you're a professional championship level prize fighter. That shit will catch up to you. I remember Andre Ward, and I'm going to pass it to my man JB Sports and let him cook. But I remember Andre Ward saying something when he was going into his second fight with Kovalev, right? He says, he was telling everybody, he says Kovalev, he liked to drink vodka. He liked to do shit that he shouldn't be doing, and he don't live a fighter's lifestyle. He said it's going to catch up with him. He said, y'all just watch. He said it's going to catch up with him. I know how he lived outside of the ring. And what happened? You know what I'm saying? What happened? Shit, that's just is what it is. And I think, but like we can go back and forth on who would have won, who, what would have happened. But all we got to go on is what happened. And, Terence Bud Crawford, we got to tell you, he did his thing, and he's still going on to do bigger things. But my man JB, go. What you got on that?
Yeah. The fight was supposed to be Leonard and Hearns 1. That's what we thought going into the fight. But again, you point out some great points. Errol Spence did not live the fighter's lifestyle, blowing up in weight in between fights, came back and haunt him. Those 2 accidents came back and haunt him. And I think he also stayed at 147 pounds, probably a little bit too long, 2 fights. I think he stayed at the 147, probably 2 fights too many. He probably should have went up after the Sean Porter fight, in my opinion. You kind of saw it in the Mikey Garcia fight, even though he fought a great boxing match, a great scientific match. The power wasn't there. The punches that he was the punishment that he was putting on Mikey Garcia, he probably would have stopped Mikey Garcia probably in his heyday. The version of Errol Spence that fought Lamont Peterson, or the one that fought Bondu, that probably he probably would have stopped Mikey Garcia, because Mikey Garcia was in survival mode, and he was taking a lot of punishment, but Errol wasn't able to stop him. So I do think the fighter lifestyle that he was not living came into play in the Terence Crawford fight, but I also thought he stayed at 147. I thought he probably should have took that fight. I think when Terence first moved up, he beat the guy that beat Pacquiao, and I think he fought Benavidez Jr. I think Errol probably should have fought him right after that fight. I think it probably would have been a more competitive fight, because Bud hadn't naturally moved into that weight. He was still he was still a small welterweight at that point, but he had grew into the weight by the time he fought Errol. He was a natural, full-fledged welterweight, and he was at the prime of his career, and Errol obviously wasn't. I thought he stayed at the weight too long too, so that's why we got the fight that we got. Instead of getting Leonard Hearns, we got Tyson Spinks. It was just a one-way destruction. It wasn't as quick as Tyson, but it was just as destructive and just as one-sided in Tyson favor as it was in Crawford favor over Errol Spence Jr.
Did you? And one thing I noticed, right, man, because when the fight was made, first I had Errol Spence. I'm like, Errol Spence, and then like as the fight build up started coming, right, I started having doubts, right, and I was hearing how Bud was talking, right, and then I was hearing how EJ was talking, and it was like, we gonna get this bag, we gonna make this money, and then I started and I was telling my partner behind the scenes, like, dog, I don't like how EJ talking, bro. He keep talking about that money, and when you hear Crawford is talking about, making history, getting a W, beating his ass, and they talking different, like, what I'm saying. And so at the end of the day, yeah, the fight got marinated for whatever reason, whether it was politics, where if that was the plan, I don't know, whatever. I don't even want to get into all of that, right? But you got that bag, right?
Yeah,
he was getting that bag. Like, we gonna make this type of money. Even when they was on stage together, Crawford when they was facing off, I think it was at the weigh-in.
Yeah,
and Crawford was like on that, yeah. You seen it. He was on there like, yeah, it's that time. And Spence was like, yeah, but we both gonna make a lot of money. Like, nah, bro.
Yeah, then he dapped him up. He dapped him up and everything. Yeah, he dapped him up at the thing, and he dapped up. Yeah, he was on some we hear there's a big fight we both been looking for. It's gonna be a huge payday, but I think stylistic, it was gonna always be a tough matchup, because Errol is a come forward fighter, and Crawford is a pinpoint counter puncher. So that style is really tailor made for Crawford. Kind of like when Teofimo fought Taylor. That Taylor style, a lot of people thought Taylor was going to beat him. I never saw that as a possibility, because I say that style, Taylor, he's a come forward fighter. That's one thing about Teo. He'll pick apart a fighter like that, come forward like that, and he's a great counter puncher with a lot of speed. And Crawford is the same way. He's a little bit more accurate and has a little bit better timing, but he's a pinpoint counter puncher. And that come forward style of Errol Spence Jr. was always problematic fighting that style that Crawford fights, man. I think it probably been a more competitive fight for sure, but I think Crawford probably still would. Crawford probably still would have had the advantage, but I don't think it would have just been as one-sided.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I can't argue with nobody when somebody, like, I ain't gonna be like, nah, like, you can't, you know what I'm saying? You can't argue, because I see exactly what you're saying, right? And I saw that when I broke down the fight, when I did the live, the day before the fight. That was one of the things that I saw. But I think that his flaws got a lot more open when, when he started to fade as a fighter. I just thought, like, what I'm saying? And early on, like 2017, I thought, we all seen at that point, man, that Errol Spence was the strongest fighter in the division. Like, he was strong as shit back then. You know what I'm saying? And I thought that he would be able to use his strength and push Terrence Bud back and things like that back then. Now we all know that Bud is strong as a motherfucker, right? He's strong as shit, but I don't think Bud was that strong back then, like 2017, when Bud didn't come to the division to what, 2018?
Yeah, I think he came in 2018. He came in there and fought the guy. I can't remember the guy from Australia that beat Pacquiao. He fought him.
He fought Jeff Horn.
Yeah, Jeff Horn. He was able to kind of push around Jeff Horn, but you know Jeff Horn. Jeff Horn's a big guy, but he kind of, you know, he don't know how to use his leverage like this. So he kind of was able to kind of really push him around. But you kind of notice in the Benavidez senior fight, Benavidez junior fight, you know, Benavidez Jr. was way bigger than Crawford on fight night. Crawford, like I said, he wasn't a full-fledged welterweight at that time. I think Spence probably could have got him after that fight. It probably would have been a much better fight because he wasn't a full-fledged welterweight at that time. But once he kind of,
I think it just would have been a much better fight, much more competitive fight, because Errol Spence was a whole different animal back then. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, people don't understand, man. I was on that same workout regimen, dog. I was on that same workout regimen, doing the 700 push-ups, starting off doing the 700 push-ups and all that training before, you know, and that shit, bro, it's different, bro. It's different. Like, your strength is through the roof. And then you stop doing that, and then we heard Errol Spence talking about, like, I ain't even do no push-ups. I ain't even doing no sit-ups and shit like that. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, you ain't the same. You not the same person. You ain't, and especially if you're a fighter that rely on being stronger than your opponent, because that's my thing. Errol Spence's whole thing, one of his biggest advantages is he relied on being able to push you back and be physically stronger than you.
Yep.
You know now, when you don't have that no more, and y'all step in the ring and you got Bud, you know what I'm saying? You got Bud moving you around like you a fucking child. Well, he done took one of your biggest advantages away.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, and we all know that skill for skill, you know, when it comes to being offensively skilled, Bud has always been better. I told people that back then. I said, Bud, he got a bigger bag offensively. You know what I'm saying? He's more skilled offensively.
Yep. Switch hitter. You know, he's more expensive. You know, he's got more versatility. He can fight off the back foot. He can fight coming forward. He's a great body punch, just like Errol was, but he's a guy that's a great guy to catch you with the. I think Crawford probably the best fighter was talking about catching his opponent with a punch he don't see. He's probably the best fighter I've seen. Probably, you know, Mayweather did a good job too, but I'm talking about with power. He's probably the greatest fighter I've seen in that regard, as far as able to catch high-level guys with punches they don't see. He caught Spence with a punch he don't see, hurt him bad. He caught Kell Brook with a punch he didn't see and ended up ending that fight, which was a tough fight up to that point. But he caught him with a punch he didn't see and stopped him. He does a great job of punching in between his opponent's punches. And I think that's going to be play to his favor when he fight Canelo. Now, Canelo don't throw a lot of punches. Canelo throw one punch at a time. He puts a lot of weight behind his punches, so it might be a little bit more difficult in the Canelo fight. But I think that's a great attribute that Crawford has, man. He's just a great guy as far as catching with them shots you don't see, throwing those shots in between your shots. You throwing those looping shots, he's throwing those real quick short shots. He's getting in between your wide shots, and he's able to score off that and do damage off that. So I don't agree with him as far as him saying Errol Spence Jr. is not a Hall of Fame fighter. I do think Errol Spence Jr., if he retired today, he is a Hall of Fame fighter. Because when you look at the fighters that are in the Hall of Fame right now, Arturo Gatti, you know, guys like that. If Arturo Gatti is in the Hall of Fame, Errol Spence Jr. definitely should be in the Hall of Fame. I mean, Porter might get in the Hall of Fame. I think he's probably borderline Hall of Fame.
I think Porter is. I think Sean Porter is going to get in. But Porter deserves to go in the Hall of Fame. You know? Yeah.
I want to say he deserves it. And Errol beat him. Errol is a unified champion. Beat him. He beat what else he beat for the belt? He beat Sean, and he beat whatever. Danny wasn't for the belt, but he beat Sean Porter for a belt, and he beat Kell Brook for a belt. So he's a unified champion. So he only lost to one guy. He lost to arguably the greatest fighter of this era. We're gonna find out who is the greatest fighter of this era when Crawford fight Canelo. But he arguably beat the greatest guy of this era. He lost to the greatest guy of this era. So there's no shame in that.
Beat Canelo, if Crawford beat Canelo, anybody that got anything to say about Crawford, they got to shut the fuck up. Like, if he beat Canelo, and I'm going to keep it a buck, man, I don't see him beating Canelo. That's just that, like, to me, I don't know. Like, going up, man, basically going up from 147 to 168. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He had one fight at 154, but you basically going up 3-weight divisions, right? Coming off a year layoff and going straight to 168 to a division that you ain't never even felt before with 10-ounce gloves on. Man, I don't know how he going, because a lot of people, they're looking at it and they like, okay, well, Bud is going to use his movement and he going to keep Canelo on the outside and he going to fight that style. But I ain't seen Bud fight that style since probably 140. Since he was fought at, since he fought at, did he fight Benavidez like that?
No, you remember Felix Diaz up at 140?
Yeah.
That's about the last time.
At 140. Yeah, that's what I said. Oh, yeah, okay. I thought you said Benavidez. I'm like, I don't remember him fighting Benavidez. Like, but yeah, at 140 pounds, that's the last time. But hold on, man. That's the last time that Bud actually fought that style. Like, you know what I'm saying? The old style when Bud used to use that long jab and basically just box, you know what I'm saying? Use his footwork and all of that. Since he came to 147, Bud is he gonna be right there with you fighting.
Yeah, so he'd be in the pocket.
Can he go back to that old style Bud to where he could utilize that movement, keep you on the outside with the jab and all of that at 168 pounds against Canelo, right? Canelo know how to cut off the ring. Yeah, he got slow feet, but he know how to cut off the ring. He going to your body. He's going to make you feel some shit, right? Right? Canelo he got quick reflexes, right? He got quick reflexes. His upper body, he know how to roll with punches and counter you. Like, it's gonna be real hard for Terence Bud Crawford to beat a Canelo Alvarez. We're not talking about him moving up to 168, fighting a fucking Rudy Poot, just fighting like you going to 168, fighting arguably. Now, I mean, shit, he probably is the best fighter at 168 now that Benavidez moved up. And so this is unheard of. Like, we've seen fighters move up, but we ain't seen no fighter move up 2-3 weight classes and fight the absolute best. That's like back when Roy Jones moved up to heavyweight, right? Roy Jones ain't move up to heavyweight and fight no Lennox Lewis.
Yeah.
It would have been like this nigga, he moving up to heavyweight to fight Lennox Lewis.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? So it's that type of scenario. And like I said, man, I'm rooting for Bud. I hear a lot of people saying, man, after Bud said that shit about Errol Spence, I want him to get his ass beat against Canelo. Hell no, bro. I ain't tripping like that. I'm definitely rooting for Bud. I want him to win, but if you ask me who I'll go put my money on, I'm putting my money on Canelo if I had to, because I just don't see Bud overcoming that obstacle, but I want him to. If he does, man, I'm going to be the first one to pop up on here saying that, man, I'm wrong, and he is one of the best fighters of all time. If he pulls this off, we ain't talking about he one of the best fighters of this generation. He pulled this off. He one of the best fighters of all time. And I'm not saying he can't pull it off, because, you know what I'm saying, I didn't see Bud is one competitive ass dude. I'm not going to say he can't do it, but I'm going to say, man, I would have to edge Canelo, and it's going to be hard for me. It's hard for me seeing him doing that, but hey, man, I hope he do.
Yeah, you hit a good point when you say he's going to have to go back to fighting that same style he fought against Felix Diaz, and that was like 7-8 years ago. That's been a while, and that's going to be 28 pounds ago too. So that was at 140. He got to do this at 168. And the thing about Canelo, he don't throw a lot of punches for Crawford to kind of catch him with them shots in between, because he seems to, Canelo kind of loads up on his shots. He don't be throwing too many 3-4 punch combinations, and that's what Crawford actually needs opponent to come forward throwing a lot of punches where he could kind of counter and catch him with the in-between shots. Canelo don't really fight like that, so that style is going to be a little bit different. So I think he's going to probably have to box him like he did Felix Diaz. But the thing about Crawford, man, he's strong-minded. He ain't lost. He don't know how to lose, so he always finds a way to win the fight. He always makes the adjustment. He always finds the opponent weakness, and he always does what he has to do to win the fight. I think early on the power was going to be a problem for Crawford, but I think he's going to find his distance and find his range and start trying to use the jab box, 1-2-1-2, turn him. When he get close, try to tie him up. I think Crawford, with his wrestling background, be strong enough to kind of tie up Canelo, and Canelo won't be able to break it up. Referee come break him up, take the fight back to the middle of the ring, and box him. He's got to go back to, like you said, what he did against Felix Diaz. He's got to win this fight on a decision. I definitely don't see him knocking out Canelo. Can he hurt Canelo with a punch that Canelo don't see? Yeah, I can see that, but Canelo ain't never been, I ain't never seen him knocked down. I ain't never seen him hurt. I know he got hurt like early in his career by Cotto, brother. That was such a long time ago. Since he's been at the top of his game, and since he's been on the scene, I haven't seen him stunned or hurt or none of that. So I don't see Crawford doing that, even as good as Crawford is with his punch placement and with his shots that he catches opponent what they don't see in a lot of cases. I still don't see him knocking out Canelo. Could he possibly hurt Canelo? Maybe, but all he got to do is get Canelo's respect. Hit him with some shots to make Canelo a little bit more less aggressive. If he's able to do that, then that's going to play a big part of him possibly winning the decision over Canelo. So I'm going to go with Crawford winning the fight because he ain't lost before. We've seen Canelo lose before. We've seen him lose to guys that are athletic, guys that are boxer, guys that, as we said earlier, they have a lot of versatility in their offensive game, like a Mayweather. Yeah, he lost to him. He lost to a lot of people thought he lost to Lara. He has problem with those type of fighters. So I think Crawford could give him a problem. I think he can win, but if he wins, it's got to be by decision. I definitely don't see a knockout.
Yeah, he ain't. That knockout shit, man. He definitely not knocking out no Canelo.
Yep.
But, okay, my man Tim say Crawford walks around at 185 and also trains and spars at that weight. He tested himself before taking the fight. And you know what? I did know that. I knew that because I was with Crawford's nephew at a fight. I think it was the Errol Spence and Ugas fight. Like, I was with his nephew and we was chopping it up, and he actually called Bud on FaceTime, right? And I remember back then he told me what Crawford walks around at, and he said that he was telling me back then, he said, my uncle about to move up. He said, my uncle gonna have to move up real soon. He said, because everybody keep talking about it's hard for Errol Spence to make 147. He said, people don't know, man, it's hella hard for my uncle to make 147. And he told me that way back then. So I did know that he walk around in the 180s, like, but see, the thing, Tim, is that, yeah, you sparring, but you ain't sparring with 10-ounce gloves on. You sparring and you testing yourself, but you not testing yourself with A+ level competition in the gym like a Canelo Alvarez. It's different. And the thing is, the thing that I'm worried about is Crawford do get caught. He get caught with clean shots. So when he get caught with a big shot versus Canelo, is he gonna be confident to continue doing what he doing? Is he gonna be confident to go in there and go in that fire? Because you saying that he ain't gonna have to move a lot. So he gonna stand in the kitchen where that fire burning. Is he gonna be comfortable enough to stay in there when he get caught with some big shit from Canelo? That's the thing that we overlooking, I think. Hold on, man. What's up?
Yep. It's gonna be an interesting fight. It's gonna be an interesting fight. It's gonna be one of them fights, man. People gonna be excited about, man. It's gonna be a lot of those sports shows that don't normally talk boxing. They'll be talking about boxing. They'll be talking about that fight. So it's gonna be a great matchup. Canelo gotta take care of business May 3rd against the great William Skull, which we all think he's gonna do. And then I don't know why Crawford not getting an in-between fight. Yeah, no, I don't know why he should have took a fight at 160 or something just to keep himself going. He seen what happened with Errol when Errol didn't take no in-between fight. He took an in-between fight. It helped him out. So I don't know why he doing that. I don't know if Canelo told him, say, hey man, we don't want you to take no in-between fight. So don't do that. He was worried about maybe not getting a fight if he did take a fight in between. I don't know what was going on, but he definitely to me, should have took an in-between fight. Right about the same time Canelo fight. He could have fought, maybe got on undercard and get a co-main event, fought somebody at 160, a decent opponent at 160. So he could just, be hitting on all cylinders when September comes. Because we don't want the excuse to be made. Well, he was out for over a year. He moving up in weight. It was just too much ass, too many obstacles he had to clear to beat a guy like Canelo. We don't want no excuses. So I don't know why he's not taking no interim fight. Maybe he worried about maybe injury, but Canelo taking the same chance of getting an injury too. So maybe he don't want to just be moving up the weight fighting anybody. He's gonna move up in weight to fight the very best in boxing. So he don't want to take a chance against another guy that's got a size advantage over. Maybe that's the case, but if I was part of his team, I would have took a fight in between, so I could just come into that fight hitting on all cylinders. Knock the rust off, and because he's been out the ring since the Madrigal fight, that's been over a year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so, I think, man, that rust and the layoff could play a factor sometimes, but I think, man, a lot of that is from fighters, man. When they be having layoffs, they just sit around and shit. You know what I'm saying? They chilling, they not in the gym, they not staying active, and then they get a call, and now they hop up and they go to the gym, and now they, working themselves back in shape. And I think somebody like Bud that stay active, that make sure he stay in shape, that make sure he stay sharp. I don't think that's gonna play a huge factor, but I also think that he should have at least took maybe thought about taking the fight at 160, to kind of acclimate himself. But I think that, I think he's gonna come in sharp, man. I think he's gonna come in sharp, but it's just oh shit. Okay. Tim said he suffered an injury.
Who?
Him, Bud. He said he had that's why he stayed out. Okay.
Okay, I ain't hear about that.
Think nobody knew that. Knew that, man. My man Demond Daniel say 5-inch reach advantage. Yeah, motherfucking Bud. He'll punch you from the other side of the street for sure. Yeah, he definitely got the reach advantage over Canelo, and Canelo is slowing down. We all see Canelo is slowing down a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Canelo ain't that, because some of these guys like Berlanga and Munguia, like I remember the time when Canelo would have got them up out of there for sure.
Yeah, especially Berlanga. He should stop somebody that caliber Berlanga. He could have knocked Munguia. He could have knocked Munguia. He carried Munguia. He carried Munguia.
Like, man, I remember the time Canelo would have got them up out of there. So, he is slowing down, but man, I don't know. It's just, I'm gonna have to see, man. I'm gonna have to see it, bro. That's just. I didn't hear Turkey say that, Tim. I'm gonna have to see it, man. It's just like I'm trying to look at the fight, man, from all angles, and I don't know, man. I just can't. It's hard for me to see it playing out how y'all saying it's gonna play out. And like I said, I could be wrong. I would like to see what the betting odds is gonna be for this fight. I want to know if the bookies, if the odds makers gonna make this fight a 50-50 type fight, or is it gonna be in clear favor of Canelo? I want to see the betting odds.
Yeah. Canelo. If Canelo, I know what he probably gonna try to do. He look at Crawford as a smaller guy, so he probably gonna try to walk him down, come in behind the high guard. I think Crawford's gonna anticipate that, and Crawford gonna shoot some lot of shots to the body while he in the high guard to try to get him to bring that guard down. Get him that once he can bring that guard down, then Crawford's try to start hitting him with them head shots. So it's gonna be interesting. What's how the fight play out, but I think Bud see a lot of things that he can exploit on Canelo. That's why he want to take the fight. He can study Canelo, and I think him being a student of the game with a high boxing IQ. I think he sees some flaws in Canelo game that he think he can exploit. So he just got to fight a disciplined fight, especially defensively for 12 rounds. He got to be able to box and just stay disciplined and don't try to trade too much with Canelo. Trading spots because you do got to get your respect, but don't stay in the pocket too long. Get your shots off and get out. He's a disciplined fight. He'll be able to pull that off, but he's got to be able to do that for 12 rounds. It's a wrestling fight.
He got to stay focused for 12 rounds, and the only thing we're gonna be able to find out, right? We're gonna be able to find out early because my thing is, how is he gonna react when Canelo catch him with some shit, right? And I'm not talking about how's he gonna react at that moment. How's he gonna react later on in the fight, moving forward, right? Because we didn't see fighters get caught with some shit and their whole game plan go out the window. They change the way that they fight. So if he get caught with some shit, how's he gonna react and how's he gonna fight after that? You see what I'm saying? That's my main thing, man. Because one thing about Canelo, man, he punching.
Yeah, he got power. He got serious power.
To the body, and that power to the body too, man. So it's Crawford got power too, but his shit is more precise. He catch you, like you said earlier, man. He catch you with them shots that you don't see coming. But I don't think that ain't nobody really worried about Canelo being able to take Crawford's power. That's the thing.
Yep.
I think that he could get Canelo's respect, but Canelo been hit by some of the biggest punches in boxing. Like Canelo got hit with the biggest shots that Triple G could give, and he was still coming.
Yep. Yeah, he's been in there with the Kovalev. He's been in there with some real punches, like you said.
Yeah, man. So I don't know, man. It's a question mark, man, and that's why I like to fight. That's why I like to fight, man. I love to fight because it's a question mark, man. And this is the type of fights that we need in boxing, and we need more fighters in boxing today trying to be great. Like I remember at a time in boxing, the best fighters, man. You fuck around and hear, oh man, they moving up to such and such division, and you be like, damn, we don't get a lot of that in today's boxing now. Fighters moving up from their division, fighting and that's why you gotta, shout out to Lamont Roach. Shout out to Lamont Roach, man. We don't get a lot of that in boxing today. We get a lot of pump faking. We get a lot of fighters bluffing on the internet. Talking about, oh, I'll fight such and such when like, man, you full of shit. You know what I'm saying? Like you get a lot of shit like T.O. calling out Terence Bud Crawford. Like, that ain't happening. You get shit like Ryan Garcia running his mouth, talking about he want to move up and fight in boots. And, you get a lot of bluffing on the internet. But you ain't,
Yeah, you get a lot of bluff. You get a lot of people saying they're going to do stuff and then they don't come to fruition. Crawford actually making it happen. He actually daring to be great, moving up to 2 to 3 weight classes to fight Canelo. You got to take your hat off to him. I'm hearing that this probably be his last fight, though. Was the way his trainer, Bo Mack, is saying he's going to fight Canelo. He's going to ride off into the sunset. So I don't think he's going to, if he beat Canelo, he's going to be like, oh, let me fight M. Billy or somebody like that. I think he's going to ride off until the sunset. There ain't gonna be nothing else for him to prove. There ain't gonna be nothing else to really just get him, motivated to train for a big fight and do what he got to do to get ready for a fight of that magnitude. After the Canelo fight, he's able to get the win. I think I don't see nothing else out there for him. I'm sure people will be like, well, fight Virgil, boo down and fight Virgil, or fight this guy at 168. I don't think it'll be nothing else for him to prove, but. You beat
Canelo. You beat Canelo. That's it. What else you need to prove? You might get a rematch, and they're gonna have to give you that bag. We talking about 100 plus for a rematch. So it might be a rematch, but other than that, ain't nothing else for you to prove. But I got to get ready to wrap it up. I got to wrap it up. I got to get up out of here. My man Damone Daniels in the Cash App. The super chat, he say Canelo hasn't had a KO in 4 years. No PED, no KO. Hey, man, we've been looking at that too. Like I said, but man, shout out to everybody that was in the building, everybody that came up on the panel. Man, y'all go make sure that y'all go subscribe to Tim Bradley's channel. Man, he got a channel. He be on there popping his shit. And man, I'll be over there on Tim Bradley's channel when he popping this shit, man. Yeah. Tim Bradley ain't gonna hold his tongue. That's one thing, so man, he got a dope channel. He got his thing. So make sure that y'all go sub to his channel. Make sure that y'all go sub to my man JB Sports. As y'all can see, he know his shit. You know what I'm saying? So make sure that you go sub to JB Sports. And I'm gonna try to get on here, man, and do more live streams, man. like I used to back in the day. I'm gonna try to do more live streams, but man, I appreciate everybody. Let me get your last words real quick before I get up out of here, JB.
All right, salute to you. Everything boxing, continue to put out good content, man. Do these live shows, man. We talk boxing. You know your stuff about boxing, and I'll be happy to get on when I see you on to talk boxing. And again, we got Crawford versus Canelo coming up, and that should be a great fight in September. I'm really looking forward to that May 2nd card, really much more than even the Canelo fight against Skull. Can't wait for that card to go down in Times Square. I just want to see how it looks and how they put that event together, basically on the streets of Times Square. That's going to be 3 great fights. Can't wait to see that May 2nd. And it's just a good time to be in the sport of boxing, man. We got a lot of big fights coming up, man. And like you said earlier, man, the best fight the best, man. We need to see more of that. And hopefully with these cards coming up, they'll continue to be showcasing big fights featuring the top guys in boxing.
Yes, sir. Definitely, man. A lot of great things coming up in boxing. That's why I a lot of more things I got to talk about. So I will be back on here. Y'all, make sure that you hit the notification icon so you know when I come on. But I appreciate everybody, and y'all already know how I do. There you go, talking that boxing again, and I'm gone.
Hey.
Appreciate y'all.
All right.